Let's patrol the cover boundary. At last the time has come. This is a cricketing emergency. Hear this call to arms for every cricket revolutionary. Take up your bats and stumps for the test match insurgency. At first they tried to silence us, but we would not be silenced. They threatened us with lies, so we threatened them with violence. Che Guevara, Sangakkara, Joseph Stalin, Douglas Jardine, Robespierre, Darrell Hare, Vladimir Lenin, O'Brien Kevin, guerrilla cricket. It's not about the winning, it's about how many rules you break. Even in cricket commentary, this is the best advice to take. Pick guerrilla cricket, it's the finest choice you'll ever make. There's so much more to cricket than red counters and a slice of cake. At first they tried to sanitize us and clean up our act, but people like it filthy, and we know that for a fact. Fidel Castro, Lenny Pasco, Carlos the Jackal, Umar Akmal, Mahatma Gandhi, Grant and Andy, Brendan Behan, Austin Ian, guerrilla cricket. Stick with us, cause you know we're not the kind of thing that you see on the TV and the radio. So vive la revolution. First they tried to buy us, but we would not be bought. Okay, we were, but then we ran away, and we will not be caught. We would not give up the ghost when they left us all for dead. They decapitated us, but we just grew another head. Chairman Mao, Jamie Howe, Ho Chi Minh, Asif Din, Václav Havel, Graham Saville, No Surrender, Percy Fender, Che Guevara, Sangakkara, Joseph Stalin, Douglas Jardine, Robespierre, Darrell Hare, Vladimir Lenin, O'Brien Kevin, guerrilla cricket.
The magical, the mighty, the majestic Moeen Ali starred with bat and ball to level the series yesterday in a ding-dong battle that's gone West Indies then England, then West Indies then England. Can England seal the series, or with the action shifting back to one of the side boundaries, can the West Indies shut out some of the noise and take a series win against not a full-strength England, but still a very good England, and maybe just shut some of the uncles up for a little while? Or is that asking the impossible? Hello and welcome to Guerrilla Cricket's coverage of the fifth and final T20 International between the West Indies men and England men from the world-famous Kensington Oval in Bridgetown, Barbados. I'm Knuckle Mpande, driving the ship today, and we're taking you through the first 5 overs. And I'm joined first up today by Brian Barish.
G'day, Knackle. G'day, everyone. Well, if you would have said 7 days ago, as we were entering the second match, that we would be heading into a decisive fifth match after the goose egg that England laid, I think you'd make a little bit of money off of that. But yeah, excited to see how this one will go on this big sports day.
And with plenty to talk about, some of it cricketing, Mashel St Patrick Hewitt.
Yeah, what's up, everyone? Yeah, excited to be back. I had this series down as England winning 3-2, so I think I'm on the money at the moment. So let's see how it goes. Let's see if we can pull off an unlikely series win.
That's right, England fans. Mashel has you in his bag. The news from the middle is that Kieran Pollard has won the toss again, but has decided to bat. The first time that a team has won the toss and decided to bat first in this series, where chasing hasn't been so easy. It is a used surface. It's the same pitch that Rodman Powell smashed that incredible 100 on Wednesday, so it's over to one side, short boundary and all that. West Indies make 2 changes, bringing back Fabian Allen and talk of the moment for all sorts of reasons that don't seem to be much to do with him, Odean Smith. Out go Dominic Drakes and Darren Bravo. So the West Indies lineup with Brandon King and Carl Mayers, who impressed yesterday at the top of the order. Nicholas Puran, who served a little bit of notice of what he can do, the keeper. Rodman Powell, Jason Holder, captain Karen Pollard, Fabian Allen, Romario Shepherd, Odean Smith, Akil Hussain, who's impressed this series, and Sheldon Cottrell. England Open with Jason Roy and Tom Banton, James Vince, Moeen Ali so magnificent the other day, standing captain with Owen Morgan having a thigh injury. Liam Livingston, Sam Billings, the keeper, and Phil Salt in this finisher role. Chris Jordan, Adil Rashid, Saqib Mahmood, the one change, replacing Tamal Mills in a change to the fast bowling attack, and Reece Topley, who has done his international career no end of good in what has been a super series. But Mashal, we should talk about something that's had the Caribbean all aflutter this week. Odean Smith, he's back in the 11 today, but he's been making headlines that he probably wouldn't have wanted. Just let people who haven't been following it quite as closely know what's been happening.
Yeah, so I think to start this off, I think first things first, everyone doesn't follow West Indies cricket properly needs to understand that we are experts at shooting ourselves in the foot. So fresh off the third T20 where West Indies took a 2-1 lead, rather than celebrate that, needless to say, news broke out in the West Indies of the latest drama within the region. And long story short, it has been alleged. Well, no, I should start somewhere else. Media sources in the Caribbean, we've got 2 very popular talk shows, Mason and Guess and Sportsmax. They're probably the 2 biggest cricket-related talk shows in the region. Both broke news that Odean Smith and WEPA, which is the West Indies Players Association, had lodged a complaint to Cricket West Indies that Odean Smith was being victimised. Now, the thing is, when these 2 media shows announced this, they alleged it with... now, I couldn't give you the evidence. I don't know what the evidence is because nobody has produced any evidence. They've just said that this has been alleged and that WEPA had demanded a meeting with Cricket West Indies immediately, so the day after the the day after the third T20, to discuss the matter, and that WEPA, according to whoever you want to believe, were going to be raising question marks about Pollard's leadership and Simmons' leadership and wanting disciplinary action and so on and so forth. So that's the crux.
And this breaks after Rodman Powell has
after Rodman
Powell.
Yeah, no one spoke about the 100. We were all speaking about this instead. Now, what people need to understand is there truth in this? Well, there's 2 ways of looking at it. One, there's no smoke without fire, so there must be some element of truth in it, because why else, where has this come from? But the second reason why I question it is because when people began to dig a bit deeper into where this had all come from, the familiar name of Dave Cameron was involved.
Just for UK listeners, not the former British Prime Minister.
Not the former British Prime Minister, but equally as terrible. So Dave Cameron, the former president of Cricket West Indies, and a guy called Ricky Sanasi, who challenged the current incumbent, Sanasi, who challenged the current incumbent Ricky Skerritt in the last presidential elections in 2021, had been behind. They were involved in it. So effectively, what people are trying to get to grips with understanding is how much of this is a genuine concern that Odean Smith has raised to his players' union and his players' union, I should say, and how much of this, as Ricky Skerritt said in the press, is mischief makers deliberately seeking to undermine both the captain and the coach and West Indies cricket in general. So there's huge consternation in the region right now over this. And the thing is, in West Indies cricket, it doesn't take much to rabble-rouse. it doesn't take much to wind everybody up and create a feeding frenzy.
So this has been this has been stoked by what you might call shock jocks, the sort of the West Indies equivalent, say, of, I don't know, Good Morning Britain or something.
Howard Stern
or Talksport.
What's the guy Joe Rogan. The people I'm talking about may well say, how dare you compare me to Joe Rogan, but think of like a cricket equivalent of Joe Rogan, where you portray yourself as, I'm just asking the hard-hitting questions to try and get to the crux of what's going on. But some would say they're mischief makers. But I can see the players are out and ready. So we can return to this.
Yeah, safe to say it's all been kicking off. The West Indies won the toss today and elected to bat. Brandon King and Kyle Mayers, after taking the knee, will take the first over from Reece Topley.
Brand new Brandon King, never been king before. He scores runs just for fun in the Caribbean sun where nobody else is.
Topley's had a hell of a series thus far, top and tail.
KP once tried to kill him, and AP smashed him off the park. Then Boyd Rankin shattered his hand.
Topley left arm over the wicket to the right-handed Brandon King, pushes this into the onside, and there is no run. Reece Topley has played every game of this series, which is, given his horrific injury record over the last few years, he has, for 2 years straight, had to take injections in his stomach to allow him to do any kind of physical work at all. But he has been very, very impressive at the top and at tail. This moves in a little bit to Brandon King, who drives this to mid-wicket, and there is no run. We'll get a jingle for Brandon King's opening partner, Kyle Mayers.
When the wicket falls and we needed a man, I'm gonna look to the pavilion for you. And I would pick 500 Kyles, and I would pick 500 more, so you'll be the man to score.
Topley, who, did not play the first game but has played the subsequent 4, including this, is in again, and Brandon King is again not able to get the ball away, pushes back to him. There is no run. Moeen Ali has a little chat with him with the 2 hats on. We will come to your social media, read by Brian at the end of the over. We will also get to chatting about the GPL, which is open for the first 45 minutes of play. The pot starts at £34 as Topley comes in. There's a slip in place, flat batted by King. Topley falls on it, his follow through. Big guy, 6'7", gets down quite well to get half a hand on it and keep them to a single. That might have hurt a little bit. I'm not entirely sure what part of Reece Topley's enormous body that hit him on. Back of a length and slapped into the shin. Ouch. But he manages to stop it. Kyle Mayers has been had a pretty good reintroduction to the side, or introduction to the top of the order in T20 cricket. Mash.
Yeah, most definitely, and I think many had called for him to open with Brandon King and not Shea Hope. Mayers has experience of opening both in CPL and in other leagues. So ultimately they're trying to find someone who can deputise for Evan Lewis when he's not about.
Wideish slip in place for the left-hander. Kyle Mayers turns this off his hip. Adil Rashid, another key part of England's comeback win yesterday at Fields. In fact, it's off the hip, so it's a leg bye. Your umpires today, Gregory Brathwaite and Nigel Dogood. TV umpire Patrick Gustard. Reserve umpires Leslie Reefer and match referee Richie Richardson. Next over will presumably be taken by Saqib Mahmood, yet to take a wicket in this series and was expensive the other day in the teeth of the Rodman Powell assault. This is driven pleasantly by Brandon King up to mid-off for a single, so he's got 2 runs off the bat. There was a leg bye as well. West Indies after the first over, 3 for none. Brian, who's with us on social media, first up.
It's the usual suspects, Knackle. We start with Warren, who says, afternoon all. I'm wondering, Warren, how much snow did you get? You can answer that, I guess, in a tweet. Leia, Linux Leia. Hello, everyone. I'll have to talk about Friday night with the landlord tomorrow. Wish me luck. Good luck with that. Mog, top of the morning. I was promised that Brian would read out my tweet. And there you go. And Muttley is here. Woof. Evening, folks and folkettes. Finally managed to tune in for some of the winter season away games. This happened during Diamond Head's set at Hammersmith last night, and there was a photo of a man doing something. And that's all we've got on Twitter so far.
Short boundary not coming into play today. The slightly used pitch, so Karen Pollard wanting to bowl to bat first and try and get runs on the board. Saqib Mahmood does indeed take the second over. England have started with pace from both ends throughout. Saqib in to King, who tries to go down the ground, tries to take this on length, and he's got enough of it. Sails over the rope, and Saqib Mahmood is welcome to the crease in no uncertain manner.
Oh, I say, chap, give me any lip.
Bit of a statement from Brandon King.
Yeah, he took some criticism, and I say rightly so. In yesterday's game, because when you're chasing 193 and you're the opener and you go for 27 of 28, or was it 26 of 27? That doesn't help the cause. But generally speaking, since returning to the side, I've got no issues with what he's produced.
Had a reasonable series, Brandon King, who had an incredible CPL a couple of years ago, but has not quite hit those heights since. There's a slip in place, a two-man back, deep square leg and deep mid-wicket, so Saqib does go shorter into the body, and Brandon King tries to work this round the corner. They can only find Adil Rashid at short fine leg, Adil Rashid on the 45 indeed, and they come through 4-1. Saqib's been, he's quick and he's got some energy to him, but he's been a little bit hittable in this series. You can sort of tell that he lacks some of the subtleties of a few other players. He's been struggling for his line and length. Neither he nor Tamal Mills, as the other fast bowlers with the likes of Archer and Wokes and Wood not available, have made a compelling case. Still young Saqib, Lancastrian. Carl Mayers facing up to his second delivery. This is short and hurries Mayers, and he doesn't get that much of it, but the deep mid wicket is back, so off the splice it'll drop safely. And Liam Livingston, who was talking to BT Sport viewers through his digestive tract issues before play, which apparently was not particularly pleasant listening, is able to come through 4-2. Mashal, this has not been that easy a series for the bowlers, with a few notable exceptions.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think what's quite interesting is that I'll let Saqib bowl this ball and then I'll make a point to you.
Saqib in lovely action. Saqib again goes back of a length and is hammered by Kyle Mayers. Leg up, shades of Greenwich, and wallops this into the stands over deep square leg for 6.
Oh, I say, chap, give me any lip.
Go ahead, Mashal.
Yeah, sorry. One of the best bowlers in the series has been Kieron Pollard. Now, Kieron Pollard has no pace. I think you and I spoke about his smarts, but what I've noticed with Kieron, he's basically bowling off cutters into the surface, and I'm just intrigued as to why. Okay, yes, not every bowler is medium pace like Pollard, but I'm surprised not a lot of them have taken any kind of learnings from that.
Yeah, Reece Topley's been using his bounce well, and Jason Holder as well. The taller bowlers have done well, and certainly the spinners at times. Rashid's been unplayable at times in this series, but those skiddier bowlers haven't had a great time of it. Saqib goes shorter again, does get this one to rise on Kyle Mayers, tucks him up, nice delivery from Saqib, but he's already gone for 15 off his first 5 deliveries. There is no run. Yeah, that you talk about hitting the pitch hard. Just those bowlers who've been trying to sort of kiss the pitch or trying to get the ball to skid through have been hittable, and we've seen that a little bit from Dominic Drakes. We've seen it a little bit from at times Sheldon Cottrell as well.
Yeah, most definitely. Are you surprised to see Mahmood in today?
I think there's a little bit of rotation was always going to happen. Last ball of Saqib's first over is whipped hard, and he's whipped that so hard that Liam Livingston, who was in position at deep square leg, full on the dive, couldn't get round. Again, the front leg raised, Really powerful, flary, flamboyant stuff from Kyle Mayers. He's taken 6 and 4. He's on 10 off 5. Brandon King is 9 off 7. And after that expensive first over from Saqib Mahmood, West Indies are 22 for none off 2.
Ravi Nair's with us. I think it's time we made a Western starring the Gorillas. It's called The Bearded Bunch plus Annie. I love it. Mog, also, how about that real Ashes test yesterday? The women's match.
Magnificent finish,
Wasn't it?
Monica.
It really was.
Magnificent stuff.
And Muttley clarifying that is my prosthetic leg that the lead singer of that band was holding while rocking out to their biggest song, Am I Evil?
Topley in, back of a length. It wasn't that wide, but Brandon King's made room and carved it away between Phil Salt and Jason Roy at cover and point for his first four off Topley, having hit that big 6 off Saqib Mahmood.
1 2 ka 4 4 2 ka 1. My name is Lakhan. My name is Lakhan.
Little Topley do with his next delivery. He'll go for the Yorker, which he's bowled well in this series. Brandon King trying to drive, comes off the inside part of the bat out to Tom Banton at deep mid-wicket. England have struggled for wickets, top and tail. Their death bowling's not been great, and even yesterday they struggled at the start until the spinners came on. They're obviously missing Archer, Wood and Woakes, who'd all potentially be in their first choice T20 attack, and they're looking for options. They've only had one player from the squad, David Payne, the Gloucestershire left armour, not play. I wouldn't be surprised if Saqib and Saqib and Mills were told which games they'd be playing at the start. This one tucks up the left-handed Kyle Mayers, pushes this into the onside for a single. So I'm not hugely surprised. Tamal Mills I'm a big fan of as a bowler and has been one of the best death bowlers around on the T20 circuit, but hasn't had a great series.
I mean, ultimately, this is a five match series, which is, in the grand scheme of...
Full again from Topley. King slightly late on the ball and has to delay his... has to sort of check his stroke and drives up to mid-off for a single.
Yeah, as I was saying, in the grand scheme of things, this series is inconsequential. But in terms of longer-term planning, of course, there is some necessity to look at, well, what does work, what doesn't work. So I've got plenty to say on the West Indies, but I guess for those who are England fans, Knuckle...
Topley in, back of a length, and a little bit straighter. Kyle Mayers clipping into the onside. Topley trying not to feed that pull shot as Saqib did to such devastating effect in his last over. 9 runs off the over thus far, 1 ball left of it.
Sorry, I was talking into that ball. Apologies, Knuckle. But yeah, what would you say have been the positives that England can take away from this series?
Positives you didn't know were going to be positives, I guess. Topley, as he's in for his last ball of his second over, and Brandon King stands up tall and drops this into the offside. They come through for a single. 9 runs off his second over, Reece Topley. West Indies have started strong, having won the toss and elected to bat in this 5th and deciding T20 International, 31 for none.
Warren answering the question of how much snow he got, he said bugger all. I know he's on the East Coast as well. We got about 4 inches just outside of Philadelphia. Steve Shipcott is with us, and he says, do I count as a usual suspect even though I listen in but never say nothing? Well, yes, and I like Knackle's response, or the Gorilla Cricket's response was less usual, more suspect. And over on YouTube, Disinterested Handjob says, look at those lustrous locks on Knackle.
Yes,
I was going to say something.
I've let the hair out of the bun to play today.
I like it.
Still getting used to having long hair again. It's been a while. Moeen Ali brings himself on, as he did in the power play with the left-hander Kyle Mayers took a couple of important wickets the other night after his devastating assault on Jason Holder. Will jingle up the standard England captain after his first ball, which Brandon King misses on the cut. Taken nicely by Sam Billings behind the stumps. Here's Moeen Ali.
Our beard shouldn't touch. Move over, Amlo. I like it too much. Move over, Amlo.
Oh, Sam Billings has missed the stumping. The bails have been taken off, but as the ball ripped from outside off stump to beat Brandon King on the inside edge, Sam Billings couldn't clasp the ball and ended up knocking the bails off without the ball in his hand. Brandon King was gone by a long way if Billings had taken that. It's not the first mistake he's made behind the stumps in this series. And Brandon King on 16 survives. Lovely bowling by Moeen. Early signs of this Kensington Oval track taking turn again, as it has done all series. This one punched back to the bowler. There is no run. That should have been gone, Mashal.
Most definitely. And Karen Pollard will be happy to see Moeen getting some purchase off the track. I think it's half the reason why West Indies decided to bat first, hoping that Allen and Akil come in later.
Yeah, did bring back Fabian Allen as another spinning option. This one skids on from Moeen. Brandon King doesn't time his pull shot at all. Phil Salt does the fielding out there at deep mid-wicket. It's a lovely shot after one of the sixes that Moeen hit yesterday off Holder. Incredible innings of Phil Salt laughing in astonishment. It was that inside-out drive over cover.
Yeah.
Which, when you can make other professional cricketers laugh at how easy it's you're making it look, then you're doing pretty well. Seeing the West Indies have scored nearly 9.5 and over against the seamers and under 7.5 against the spinners in this series. Moeen, Rashid and at times Livingston have been very effective. This one to the left-hander. Kyle Mayers is into the pads. He tries to work it fine and only gets half a bat on it. It will be a single. In fact, no, a leg by. So a good start from Moeen Ali. A single and a leg by only off the first 4-5 deliveries, and should have had Brandon King stumped. Last ball of the 4th over. Moeen in. King gets out the sweep but doesn't time it. Only goes to Rashid on the 45. Good start from Moeen, stopping the bleeding a little bit. West Indies after 4 having won the toss and elected to bat. 33 for none.
Nestler's replying to Muttley's prosthetic leg being waved aloft on stage. Best thing on Twitter today, my mother was a witch, she was burned alive. Mog saying it's like a Pantene commercial in the studio. Whoosh. And Muttley, or I guess talking about his leg, it made my night, helped me prank girls' school with the after DHs set as they were on site. Sure, on next, sorry. And back to Knackle.
I've seen gigs where stuff gets thrown on stage. A prosthetic leg is a new one on me.
I was going to say, Knackle, that attempted stumping, he's made some mistakes in this series, but I imagine this one was made on a full night's sleep.
Yes, indeed. And he hit his first 2 balls for 6, or his second and third ball for 6 yesterday. Did Sam Billings, another member of the fringe setup who hasn't entirely made a case for himself. I mean, not that it was going to be easy to do so. Chris Jordan into the attack, replacing Reece Topley, and Kyle Mayers gets the pull out again. This one didn't seem to quite have the pace that Jordan wanted it to, and Kyle Mayers puts it away very nicely through deep square leg for 4. I think we can safely say, Mashal, that Kyle Mayers can play the pull shot.
Yeah, and I think I tweeted something yesterday when Mayers was batting like this yesterday, and said if anybody thinks this is a revelation that Mayers is batting like this in T20s, he bats like this in Test cricket.
Played one of the all-time great Test innings, his unbeaten double 100 on debut against Bangladesh at the start of last year. This is a full delivery from Jordan, who is another England player sort of searching for form. Blocked back to the bowler, there is no run. So going back to positives, Moeen growing into himself as a T20 cricketer after a run out of the side for a little while. Tom Banton's shown signs at the top of the order. Jason Roy has shown different sides to his game, and Reece Topley certainly has impressed in this series. Jordan in short, and yet again Kyle Mayers gets out the flamingo pull, the one leg up. Think Lara, think Greenwich, think Carl Hooper, think 6.
Oh, I say, chap.
I don't know what it is about the raising of the front leg that makes any pull shot look better, but Kyle Mayers has played 3 of them now, and they've all looked magnificent.
I wonder if it's that illusion of just that extra physical oomph, maybe.
I don't know if is it the counterbalance, the ball in the back going one way and the leg going the other? I don't know. There's something very aesthetically pleasing about it.
I think it's also something very West Indian.
I don't know. Presumably this isn't... this is the kind of thing a long read will trace the affectation back. Jordan goes Yorker this time, or tries to. Mayers flicks it in the air and Phil Salt out there at deep square leg. He and Livingston have been very busy in the early stages. Manages to slide round. That must be the short boundary out there, because He didn't have a lot of time to get round. He manages to slide round as Salt and pick up 2. So Bajan's in action all over the place, with Chris Jordan bowling to Carl Mayers, who plays for Barbados in the CPL, and then Phil Salt, who spent some time here as a kid.
And just further to the Mayers thing, when we spoke to him on the Caribbean Cricket podcast.
As Jordan comes in, 5th ball of the over, outside off stump, and Mayers cuts, but there is cover out there. Liam Livingston, that deep square leg on the long boundary, doing the fielding. They come back for a single, so it's been another good start for the West Indies. England again struggling to make an impact with their seamers in up top. 46 for none, 1 ball left of the 5th. We will have a change at the end of the over.
Yeah, Mayers comes from the tradition of attack is the best form of defence. So think Jermaine Blackwood when you think Carl Mayers. He very much believes in playing his natural game no matter the situation.
Very good for a not always good Barbados Tridents, then Royals side in the CPL, batting in the top 3. This one is turned by Brandon King to square leg. He's on 18 off 17, a couple of nice shots, but was tied down a little bit by Topley. No such tying down for Carl Mayers, who's 27 off 13 with an array of pull shots. It's been a very good start for the West Indies, who won the toss and elected to bat. They are 47 for none, but it's been the middle overs that have been the issue for them in this series. I will make way in the ball-by-ball chair for Cat Jones. Mashell will continue to give you his inside track, and Sean Nestle boy Tracy will take over on social media.
Hello.
Greetings. Hello there, Nestlers and Nashel.
Is Melbourne still rocking from the tennis?
Yes, I guess so. I'm not really a tennis person, but you can't avoid the results, and the results have been fabulous for Ash Barty. So we have Moen coming in to bowl. He's bowling to King, and I've lost my feed completely to know what happened to that ball.
Dispatched for 6.
Well, no wonder. It must have been an English cameraman there who decided to cut to something.
You came out of your hand and into my zone. Now it's up in the stands. It's a 6. It's beautiful and it's mine.
If there had been a cow there, it would have been in danger.
No, it was more a long on, wasn't it? It wasn't quite cow corner. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt.
It was erring towards cow at the end.
Let's hope that he can send many more balls over in that direction. So that brings King to 24.
Question for Mash. Are you happy? I mean, I don't know all of the names that are in this West Indies side. Are you happy with the performance so far?
Across the series or this game?
Yeah, across the series.
I'll inject afterwards.
So Moens again, he's over the wicket, turning slightly, and King works with the turn, sends it into the onside, and they run through for a single, taking the score to 54.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, listen, West Indies had a terrible World Cup. Our golden era have basically all retired. We're starting from scratch again, and we're 2-2 versus one of the best international T20 sides in the world. I'll take it.
Yeah.
This next ball, Moen's moved around the wicket this time, and Mayers cannot get hold of it, even though he tries to send another one over cow corner, and it's a dot ball.
They look pretty good. I mean, I've been impressed. I mean, it's 2-2, but I think there's been some encouraging performances, let's say.
Definitely.
It doesn't really matter if you're beating the worst T20 side in the world. It's still encouraging, isn't it, Nestlers? Another ball is sent out into the offside for a dot.
No, it's I've enjoyed. I mean, I'm a West Indies fan, and I don't like seeing them not at the top, if you know what I mean.
So if there's any Australians who are listening, I cannot find a feed for this beyond what we have on the Guerrilla Cricket feed. As Mayers launches into this next one, it's heading out towards the boundary, and in fact it will be 4 runs. So far from this over, 11 with 1 ball to come.
Yeah, pretty good start so far, you have to say, 58 without loss.
So, Mashal, you were saying that it was a good performance from the West Indies. I thought you were talking about the guerrilla cricketer commentators there for a moment. Ali sends another ball onto the pads of King. He turns this one around the corner for another single and keeps the strike at the end of that over.
I got some social media for you.
Great.
The delightful ballet of batting in cricket, says Mog. I think that's for the one-legged sixes. The consistency of crap that is England's other wicket keepers, says Warren. Leg going the other way. The leg jokes have now been done, Knackle, after Muttley's incredible tweet about Diamond Head having his prosthetic leg on stage last night, which is quite something.
So we're back on now again. The power play has been taken.
The whirly arm has gone up.
Yep. And I'm just used to the big bash where you can decide to take the power play whenever you like. As this next one is to King, and again he tries to send it over cow corner, but it's a wild swing outside off.
I think the best.
On the 45.
And so Rashid comes in again bowling to King. And this time he's sending it towards the leg side. It doesn't turn very much. And again, working with the spin, he sends it square and takes a single.
Yeah, with Rashid on, I think they need to. I'll be intrigued to see what their tactics are here. I'd just play him out for 4 overs and attack everybody else. But let's see how attacking they go against Rashid.
Bounce Mayer's on strike. He's on 31. And the score so far, 59. No loss at all from this first couple of balls. And again, we see a wonderful picture of the non-striker and people in the crowd instead of whatever that ball was. So let's presume it was a dot. Or maybe it hasn't happened yet. Maybe it was just a little bit of a glitch in the commentary. And this one sailing high into the air out towards the boundary rope. It's been caught right on the boundary and tossed back in. And looks like that might be the end of Mayers. Some celebrations going on. It's a wicket.
How's that? You messed about, I caught you out. How's that?
It's the relay.
What do you think, Mashal? Was he right? Was he over the boundary rope there? He almost was.
I initially thought he was, but he did chuck it to Salt just as he was about to. It's the kind of fielding we now take for granted.
Yeah, I was just thinking that, and it never used to happen.
Yeah, so he's nearly tumbled over the rope and chucked it to Salt, and Salt's taken it. I'm more furious at the fact that literally a ball ago I said don't attack Rashid, and look what they've done.
They don't listen.
You need to be there in their ears, I think, Mashal. You need to be totally in their ears, telling them what to do and what not to do. It's crazy. Have we got any tweets, Nestles, while we're waiting?
Yeah, on YouTube, a disinterested handjob, which is Mog, says, "Look at those lustrous locks on Knackle." I was going to say, yeah, he's let his hair down. Gone. Oh, he's doing the shampoo advert thing, like that. Anthony Bush says, pull shots like that are a visual oxymoron, effortlessly graceful while smacking it miles. Yeah, they are a sight to behold, really.
Let's see if the others can control themselves a little bit better to Rashid, because he's still got a couple of balls to come. We could have 2 more wickets. No, we don't want to wish that on anybody. This next ball to King, though, is driven nicely, and they take 1 run. The new batsman, or the new batter, is Shepherd.
Eyes wide and Shepherd. If I'd hit, it would have cleared the fence. Eyes wide and Shepherd. But I forgot all about it.
It's a very interesting move here to bring in Romario. This is the type of thing that ends up with Kyron Pollard getting criticised. Shepherd didn't bat in the last game. We know he's an explosive 6-hitter, which suggests that West Indies' tactics today are to go all-out attack. But Pooran is the normal number 3, so interesting to see the explanation for why Shepherd has come now.
Last ball from the Rashid over is a dot ball, and his figures at the moment are 1 for 2, 2 for 1.
Mayank's got a theory. Says the feed shared for commentators should be provided to all patrons who donate a certain amount per month. That way I don't have to keep paying ESPN and Willow TV bloody money to watch cricket. We'll speak to the management, Mayank. I don't think it's going to happen. We've got a new bowler.
I am Livingston.
Livingston bowling to King, who's on the drive. He's sending it over the head of the bowler and down to long off for a single off the mark straight away. I'm not sure I understand that jingle. What song is that? Does anyone know?
Ooh.
No, we don't. So Livingston is bowling, and he's bowling to Shepherd, who's sending a ball sailing into the sky. It's gone all the way into the stands for 6. So we're hearing that the Livingston jingle is I Am the Resurrection by the Stone Roses. So
Indeed.
let's see what Livingston can do. It looks like the batters like the look of him, Mashal.
Yeah, that was a rank full toss. I would have put that away for 1 run.
I would have missed it, Mashal. I would have
Yeah.
possibly been stumped.
Yeah, exactly.
On that
I was
one.
just thinking the same thing, Kat. A big heap ho, and then fuck.
Yeah. In fact, as Alana King was trying to get the last wicket yesterday, I was thinking a half cracker would have been a really effective strategy. This next one, though, is almost a wide. I don't think it's been called because it's hit Shepherd either on the pad or the toe of the bat and manages to get through for a dot there. Best performance of this over for Livingston, that dot ball off the third delivery. As Shepherd moves across his stumps and gives himself some room, but again can't connect to this next delivery. So, Mashal, his performance getting better as the over goes on.
Well, yeah. I mean, how many is off this over? 7? Yeah. Livingston will be happy with the last 2 balls, but I want another 6 here.
So we're calling it. It is a bit of a 6.
Oh,
Shepherd keeps moving across his stumps, and it's an attempt at a 6. Did it make it to the end of the rope? It looks like it was a wicket. So, unfortunately, Shepherd not so successful with that particular aim, and Livingston, as we said, improving.
The crowd says, the crowd says, the crowd says you're out.
I think for the sake of West Indian cricket, Mashal, you should sort of just go home or something.
Yeah, I think there's a change due now. So later.
Any twists? By the way, that was caught in the field. It wasn't a juggling catch over the rope. It was a more conventional catch. He didn't get all of that and got a bit of an edge through into the outfield. So any more tweets there, Nestlers?
Yeah, Mayank saying the Nadal match was magnificent. Barty was a bit of a one-sided affair. Yeah, but Barty winning since O'Neill, was it? About 400 years ago. Pretty good. And everyone's wondering about Knackle's hair because we mentioned it, but not everyone can see it. And I've said, think Aquaman rather than Fabio.
That's a good call. Aquaman. Goodness me. I feel like that's still a compliment, though, Knackle.
He probably wishes he was built like Aquaman.
And Knuckles saying, I'll take Jason Momoa any day.
So
So we've had another ball from Livingston. This time it's a wide, but he is testing these batters. He's trying things out, which is great, Mashal.
Most definitely.
Now he's around the wicket to the left-handed Purin, who's come on to strike. We will jingle him up shortly, and he's clipping this off his toes out towards square leg, and they run through for 1 run, and that is the end of the over. 9 runs from it, and the score 69 for 2 with a wicket in that last over.
Nick, 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 Puran often plays as a batsman. Nick, 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 Nick,
Wandering Baiku, Dave for short, says, check out Guerrilla Cricket for West Indies versus England radio commentary. Damn sight better than Talk Sport. Let's hope England come up with the win. Well, thank you, Dave. Well done, sir. Why did these bastards get you up so early, Cat, says Mog.
It's only 7 a.m, 7:30 now, so it's not quite as bad as what you had to do during the Ashes if you're in England. As we have Rashid coming in, and Purin likes the look of this. He's sending it sailing high into the air. It's gone very high, but it has gone over the rope for 6.
You came out of your hand and into my zone. Now it's up in the stands. It's a 6. It's beautiful and it's mine.
What a lovely long jingle that is. It's almost too long for a T20. But anyway, Rashid has been deposited first ball of the over the boundary, but this next one is just dropped short by Purin. It's gone square and they've run through for a scampered single. And that's great running, Mashal.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think I should just explain to people why I think Romario Shepherd came at 3. I'm trying to explain West Indies' mad tactics, but I think they know that King isn't ready to accelerate yet. And Romario Shepherd's approach to batting is to hit every single ball for 6. So it just made sense to send someone to do that.
That's good. Bit of a contrast between the two players as Rashid bowls to King, and he's driving down to mid-wicket for another single, taking the score to 77. So they're still turning over the strike and making the runs quickly here.
Yeah, that was one of the flaws of the quote-unquote geriatric side that went to the World Cup, that we weren't running singles.
They were not capable. What Chris Gale ran a single. As Purin on strike, the left-hander. He winds up deep in his crease, slashing the ball through the covers. It's heading out towards the rope and won't reach it. There's a fielder out there. There's a sweeper out there who returns, and another single. So after that 6, 3 singles with 2 balls remaining. And already Rashid is bowling. He's wrapping Kings on the pads. And the umpire says no interest, and that's a dot ball. So when Rashid's bowling, we don't have much time between our deliveries at all. King's on 29. Purin on 9 already from 4 deliveries. He's at the non-strikers end though. And King's driving straight, and it goes straight back to the bowler. So 2 dot balls to finish that over. 2 wickets down, 78 runs at the end of the 9th.
Oxymoronica says, an Aussie commentator is just what we needed. I'm not quite sure how to take that.
Well, I'm glad you didn't say that with a sarcastic tone there, Nestles.
Mog says, how do we know Knackle isn't built like Jason Momoa? Well, I can confirm that he isn't. Warren, can he prevent any more rain delays, or is that the wrong superpower? I think he's talking about Aquaman and Knackle.
I think that's a good superpower. I think that you need to have that power, Knackle. We'll bestow this upon you now.
Well, apparently Keith Richards has it, and he goes out on stage before the Stones play with his special cane to stop the rain coming. Keith.
Does it work though, Nestlers? So here we have Moen bowling. What on earth has he bowled there? Anyway, there's been a bye run, I think. Was there bat on that? I'm not sure. My feed is a little bit too sketchy here, but not a great delivery.
It's a run, it's not a bye.
He got bat on it. So he just turned it to the leg side for 1 run. This gets King back on strike. 29 from 26 as Moen bowls again. He's bowling over the wicket, and King's winding up and sending the ball out over the boundary for 4 runs.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So taking that one very deep in his crease there.
Yeah, I think they've got to aim for, because they've been unstuck against the spinners in all the previous games, they've got to aim for at least one boundary ball per over and try and milk singles after that. They don't have the game to go uber attacking.
And they're playing a classic game in this regard. The boundaries often coming early from the first or the second delivery. Moen bowls a terrible ball down leg side. It's been called a wide.
Wide.
And this next ball's a much better delivery. Again, King deep in his crease and driving the ball off the back foot into the covers. They've got a single there, I think. No, it was a dot. They didn't take the run, Masham.
Yeah, I thought they would take. I thought don't run on a misfield.
It was a little bit of a misfield there. Not sure who it was out at cover. And Moen's bowling again, another good turning ball. It's gone through for a dot. So recovery here from Moen, and 6 coming soon, no doubt, from King. So Moen's again over the wicket, and it's a big swing from King. He's sending that ball out into the covers. They run a single, and one ball to come because of that wide. That gets Purin back on strike. He's 10 from 5.
Don't attack it.
And so Ali goes around the wicket to the left-hander and turning the ball to mid-wicket, and they did get the 1 run. So Purin will keep the strike for the next over, 86 for 2. And Mashal, after the tweets, I'd like to hear which has been your favourite of the 4 matches so far. But first of all, off to Nestles. I think we're getting drinks on, actually, and
we are.
A change in the commentary.
I'll just go through a couple of tweets. Leia's got a cricket bat out with a chain on it to defend herself about the noncing tomorrow. Maybe I'll just treat my accuser to this. Yeah, Leia came up with some abuse from her neighbours. But it turned into something else where I agreed to marry Leia in Utah, and then we were going to raise a militia and take over Monaco and turn it into an anarcho-punk state. So that's all going to happen. And,
how would that affect? How would that
Can our
affect?
tweeters rely on the? Can tweeters continue to talk only about the cricket? Because I'm completely confused. But I'm going now. Over to you.
But I've agreed to it as long as they keep the Grand Prix.
I was going to say that might affect the hosting rights for the Grand Prix.
What sort of cheese dream is that?
No,
What on earth have I walked into?
it happened on Twitter yesterday, and I'll speak to you later.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thanks, Kat. Thanks, Mash and Nestlers. Well, we are at the halfway point of the West Indian innings. They are 86 for 2 after 10 overs. Brandon King on 34, Nicholas Puran on 11. Kyle Mayers was caught off the bowling of Rashid for 31. Romario Shepard caught off the bowling of Livingston for 6. I'm Brian Barish, taking you through the next 5 overs. We are at a drinks break. I'm joined by Al Hotchkiss, who is your social media megaphone, and Nakul Pandey, who is our summarizer. And Nakul, I would have to say, after this point, we've talked about this being a back and forth series. That's been the first 10 overs so far, and I would have to say it's about even.
I think the West Indies would be slightly the happier. The England seamers haven't got into the game at all. Reece Topley bowled 1 good over, then 1 poor over, but Saki went for 19 off his first over. Chris Jordan 14 off his first. Again, it's been the England spinners. Arthur Rashid excellent. Liam Livingston taking a wicket in his first over, and Moeen Ali going under 7s in his first 3 overs. Nicholas Puran is starting to strike the ball nicely. That excellent bit of boundary fielding from Roy and Salt on the boundary to get rid of Carl Mayers could prove very, very important. It was unusual in one of those relay catches in that Roy took it and then threw the ball a good 15 yards to Phil Salt, so much so that Salt was actually out of frame when the ball got to him, and Mayers was striking the ball magnificently. But so I think the West Indies would be the happier of the two sides at this stage. But 86 for 2, England are by no means out of the game with 3 spinners bowling and still plenty of overs to come between them.
Liam Livingston is set to bowl as we begin the 11th over. Nicholas Puran will take the strike 111 off of 6, as it's an absolutely beautiful late afternoon in Bridgetown, Barbados, on the west side of that island nation. And Livingston, so far, this is his second over, gave up 9 runs for that one wicket as he jogs in right hand around the wicket to the left-hander Puran, and that one is pulled to the covers where it is stopped by Ali, and they are unable to come through for a run.
Yeah, England playing 3.5 spinners here with Rashid, the leg spinner, Moeen, the off spinner, and Liam Livingston, who can bowl both.
This one is cut to the offside by the fielder, and great stop there, I believe, by Tom Banton out at deep point, and they stopped him only to get through for 2, but a great stop there in the outfield.
Yeah, handy. Liam Livingston bowling the off spinners to the left-hander, as he often does. That's obviously the long boundary, because otherwise Banton wouldn't have had time to get round. He made up a good ground to cut off the boundary.
Third ball of the over is in on the legs, and this one is turned by Puran to the onside, and they come through for a single as King now takes strike on 34 off of 30. The West Indies 89 for 2.
The eye test would tell you that Brandon King's batted very nicely, but 34 off 30 on a pitch where sixes have been raining down, and in a series where sixes have been raining down, he's getting to the stage where he has to accelerate, or he's doing his team more damage than good, particularly when they've got a very long batting lineup.
King now bowling over the wicket, and this one is popped up in the air. Does it have the distance? It doesn't. It's caught at deep mid off, and there is the wicket there. You can probably, I didn't have it up there. In fact, that is Chris Jordan, who made that catch, and King has to go for 34, and the West Indies are 88 for 3.
King a little early on the stroke. He knew he had to go after the short ball from Livingston. It was a bit of a drag down, but it did turn a little bit. Brandon King lost his shape, took the bottom hand off the bat, which some batters used to get a bit of extra extension. We've seen Rishabh Pant hit a lot of one-handed sixes, but he didn't time it at all. A very simple catch for Chris Jordan. And Brandon King, a pleasant-looking innings, but 34 off 31 doesn't do his team a huge number of favours. Liam Livingston has a second.
A correction on the score. It's 89 for 3. Al, some quick social media thoughts.
So Jeff Perkins says that he won't be able to tell who this Momoa fellow is until he's interviewed by Messy Jez. Jez has been doing some interviews for our Patreon subscribers. I think we've all been subject to that. It's been a very informative series of discussions, but. You look at it, and in the end, it's a ball he should cut, but he's so early on the shot that
he's seen the length. He's seen the length, and understandably gone to pull. It's then just turned a little bit. There's been some turn in these Bridgetown wickets throughout. Here is a batter who I think would not have let a long hop like that go unpunished. The West Indies captain.
Hey, how you doing? Sorry you can't get through. I'm busy watching Kai run Pollard, so I'll get back to you.
Pollard set the stand in against Livingston, who's now taken 2 for 12 from 1.4 overs. Pollard yesterday, 18 off 16, not out, as Livingston goes over the wicket, and that one is touched down to the onside through mid-wicket, and they've come through for a single as Pollard is off the mark off his first ball. 90 for 3 are the West Indies with 1 ball left in the 11th over.
Yeah, Karen Pollard on. He's a good hitter, spin bowling with England using their spinners pretty effectively here. They might go back to somebody like Reece Topley next over.
Round the wicket to the left-hander, Puran is pushed off of his legs, and they come through for a run. In fact, it has been given as a leg by, so the run won't be given to Puran. It will be given to the team. The West Indies 91 for 3. Livingston with giving up 5 runs and the wicket off his second over. Al.
We are up to date on Twitter. I'm just going to have a look on. Apologies if these things have already been read before on YouTube. Just a couple of comments. Pull shots are a visual oxymoron, effortlessly graceful while smacking at miles. That's by Anthony.
We were
Butch.
talking about the Kyle Mayers front leg up Lara Greenwich type pull shot that he played so well.
It is effortless brutality.
It's very geometrically pleasing. Sort of, there has a bit of a Vitruvian Man quality to it.
And here is Abdel Rashid, who will bowl over the wicket to Poran as he keeps the strike. And that one is hit through the cover region and on through mid-off and through for a run. And Pollard will come back on strike 92 for 3 of the West Indies.
The Rashid has been magnificent again in this series. But England need to get at least one of their seamers into the game here. With Topley's been super in this series, but the combination of George Garton, who played one game, and Sakib Mahmood and Tamal Mills haven't been as good as England would have hoped. Admittedly, in some tricky chasing conditions, there's quite a short boundary out to the leg side for Kieran Pollard. There's 3 fielders back on it, a deep square leg, deep mid wicket, and long on. The pitch is over to one side. Today it's the same pitch that Robin Powell hit that incredible 100 on Wednesday.
Rashid, who has a wicket already, comes in. Big slog sweep attempt by Pollard, but that wraps him on the top of the knee pad. That would have been going over the wicket had that gone through. There is no run. Great ball by Rashid, relatively short, and Pollard, I think, mistimed it.
Pushed through out the front of the hand so it didn't turn. Such a good bowler in limited overs cricket, the Rashid.
Rashid again, this time is in on his legs, and he turns this one sort of in between third man and point, and that one they come through for a run as Pollard goes on to 2, and Poran comes on the 15. My daughter is saying hello, so everybody say hi to Hazel.
Hi Hazel. Rashid is trying not to let Pollard free his arms and swing the ball over the boundary with ease.
Rashid comes through, and this time got it through to mid-wicket, and this one, I don't think there's anybody out there. They've pulled away. No, they have come through for a single, and Pollard now goes on to, or rather, Poran goes on to 16. Pollard will take the strike 94 for 3.
But there might also be an element of them treating other Rashid with a little bit of respect.
Rashid's 5th ball of this 12th over the wicket, and this one is batted down to cover, and they will stroll through for another run.
Rather than mistimed that. I thought he mistimed that enough that there might have been a sneaky 2 there.
Kieran Pollard is a very large man.
He is, and he's a large man in a floppy hat, which is I feel like that's prototypical West Indian. Over the wicket for the final ball, and this one was way outside of off stump, but corralled down towards the covers by the left-hander Poran, or rather by Poran. 95 for 3 after 12 overs. Rashid has given up 15 for the loss of 1 wicket from his 3. Al?
Oxymoronica. I know team selections are limited, but it would seem spinners and cutters are what's needed on this wicket. Discuss 25 marks.
Potentially. See how the West Indies bowled on it. Jason Holder's been superb at the top of the innings. I thought the West Indies missed a trick yesterday, not keeping him on for a 3rd over, and then he came back and ran into Moeen. He and Topley have been the only 2 bowlers who've had sustained success. We have seen with the cutters, Mashal was talking about Kieran Pollard's success, so I'm sure that he'll be bowling some of those at certain points. Chris Jordan, who's coming back into the attack, can bowl some of those off-pace deliveries. Here he is.
Chris Jordan's back will make him cry, more England caps will soon draw nigh. Or if they don't, then it will seem he'll wish he'd joined the Windies team.
My favorite jingle in all of Guerrilla Cricket, sung by the Lucid Finneman Choir from Lucid Finneman, Ohio, or something like that. Over the wicket, he bowls to the right-hander Pollard, and he dips that one in off his legs through mid-wicket, and it is fielded there in the outfield. They have come through for a single.
So that was just 4 runs off the last over, just 9 runs off the last couple of overs, and Cindy's England went through a slowdown yesterday before Moeen Ali clicked into gear, but Cindy's need to make sure that they don't end up in stasis.
No, and that, you don't want to leave the door open for that part of the lineup once England comes to bat to corral or reel that target in as quickly as they can. Jordan's 2nd ball of the over, it beats the offside stump, and that one's going to be caught I believe no. I think it was bounced to Ali. Beg your pardon. That did bounce Ali, who made a nice catch off of a hop, and there is no run. My apologies.
Yeah.
Hey, don't apologise. Nobody gave you any visual clues about what was going on there. There was gentle applause. No one seemed to move. It was like, I know it's gone to Ali.
It was cut very hard by Nicholas Puran, who's been kept pretty quiet in the last few overs, but straight to Moeen Ali.
Jordan's third ball of the over comes in, and this one is turned down towards mid-on, and they will stroll through for a run. That's what in baseball we call that an atom ball, because it was right at him. As,
up and at them.
Up and at them. The Simpson references have tend to flow off the tongue. Porin is 17 off of 15. Pollard 4 from 5 balls faced. 12.5 overs gone. West Indies 97 for 3. Glad you're joining us here on Gorilla Cricket. Brian Barish alongside Al Hodgkiss and Nako Pandey as Jordan comes steaming in, bowls, and that one was on and for the fourth stump and flicked nicely down towards mid-on, and they've come through for another run. They are just ticking the scoreboard over one at a time, 98 for 3.
No boundaries for the last 3 overs since the second ball of the 10th over, and the West Indies were getting on a roll of finding at least one boundary and over, usually early in the over, but England have just stopped that a little bit. Jordan benefiting from some of the work done by the spinners.
In comes Jordan. He bowls, and that one beats the off stump and just went over the bat of Nicholas Porin, and there is no run. Beautiful ball. Again, relatively good length, maybe a little on the short side. No, I think that was a good length.
Yeah, it was a lovely off cutter from Jordan, getting the ball to dip and just stopping the surface a little bit. It's the first cutter that we've seen bowled, now 21 balls since the last boundary.
17 minutes if you're keeping track of that sort of thing. Porin turning his wrists over and going underneath it. Final ball of the over from Jordan, turned in off the feet and guided down to mid-wicket. They will come through for a run. 4 runs given off of the run over by Jordan. A pretty good over for him at the end of 13. The West Indies 99 for 3. Al.
So let's have a look, see what we've got here. Mog says hello, Hazel.
She says hello.
Diana Patterson, I was misdirected by YouTube, and I am now only tuning in. So I may be late to say, 1, Brian is becoming excellent as a commentator, and number 2, I am again in love with Knuckles' hair.
Thank you.
No comment on the Scouser. Mog, I do love the way Brian seems to pronounce Poran as porn. But there you go. Hey,
two syllables.
Yeah, I mean, put them in whichever order you want. I mean, it's fine.
Livingston, I believe this is back into the attack, bowling round the wicket to the left-hander. Porin, big swing and a miss, as was, again, way outside that off stump. I mean, enough to where it was a legal delivery, but a good ball there, and Porin, swing and a miss. A great sports day, by the way. We'll get into that in just a moment as Livingston comes in again, and this time he beats his legs on the leg side, but in fact he beat it a little bit too well, and that has been given as a wide by umpire Nigel Dugood.
So umpires spread your wings and call wide.
Haven't heard that one before.
It's a new one. It's partnership going at just over 4 runs and over.
That one is cut nicely in on a hop to Ali, who makes a nice stop. And faster it went in, the faster it was stopped there, and it is through for it is gone for no run. As we mentioned, here's Livingston again going round the wicket, again going for the outside. But this time it gets through the fielder, got by 1, but not by Chris Jordan, who stops it at the boundary. They go through for a single. We had the Australian Open final, that epic Australian Open final earlier today. It is NFL Conference Championship Sunday. We have this going on, and we've got World Cup qualifying happening. And as I check the score, Canada is still beating the United States 1-0 at halftime.
Oh dear.
A couple of quite entertaining games in the PSL as well, as Islamabad United smashing their way to a chase of 169 with fully 4 overs left, just 9 wickets down, and then a decent game later as well between Karachi Kings and the Lahore Columbus, where Sumit Patel got Lahore over the line.
That one is Pollard tried to give himself some room. Thought that would have turned in on his legs, but this one, in fact, kept a good line and, in fact, bounced away from off stump. And there is no run as Pollard with a big swing and a miss. Here's the fifth ball of the over, and this time Pollard pushes this one through mid-on, and there is a single out of that one as Pollard goes to 6 off of 8. The West Indies 102 for 3 with 1 ball left in the 14th over.
We saw Moen and Livingston get stuck yesterday in a similar phase, and indeed the West Indies themselves in their batting innings. But this is becoming a real problem for the West Indies.
That one is cut through once again through mid-wicket, and this time stopped at the mid-wicket boundary. They've come through for a single. 4 runs given off by Livingston. That includes a wide. He is now 2 for 17 from his 3. Pooran on 20. Pollard on 6. The West Indies are 103 for 3.
God bless you, Diana. Diana Patterson, after me turn around and saying, nothing about me. And I ought to have said Al Hodge is one of my favourites. God bless you, Diana, for saying that. I feel like I've made you say that, though. The Jersey Jingler. Brian, if you're going to use Knuckles' full name, you can't leave out the M. It's like saying John Kennedy instead of John F. Kennedy. Just sounds wrong. Warren says, hello, Nicholas Ball.
As the first ball of the overall, it's a beauty, an absolute beauty by Rashid, and Pooran swung with the full of sound and fury, signifying absolutely nothing as he was completely confuzzled and confounded by that delivery.
Beautiful googly, really tossing it up out there. Pooran you knew Pooran was going to swing hard at it and made him look a bit of an idiot.
He is such a beautiful delivery, but this one is hit towards square, deep square, and they'll come through for a run. In the words of Jerry Seinfeld, well, that was a wicked googly. Those commercials that they had back in the 90s of him going to England and being like, what is this, the 7th inning stretch? But anyway, Pollard now on strike as the West Indies 104 for 3 off of 14.2 overs. Will do a change after this over as Rashid with that big bouncing windup comes through, and this one is fisted towards square, and they come through for a single. Didn't really get a lot of that. He mistimed it, but just got enough to get through any infielders that were there.
His timing went completely on that. It was like he was trying to delay his swing, but then delayed it too much. He couldn't get any power into the shot at all.
It's like he was fending it off his gloves.
4th ball of the over from Rashid comes in. Big bowled him. He's bowled Nicholas Pooran, an absolutely beautiful delivery. Pooran went for the 6, and he turns and sees his wicket completely destroyed, just like, my dreams of becoming a millionaire or something like that. I don't know. You can make it up. Either way, he's gone. He has to go, and he has to go for 21. The West Indies 105 for 4.
Almost happened a couple of balls ago. You've sensed that was coming. Nicholas Pooran hadn't hit a boundary since his second ball. West Indies have now lost 2 for 22 off the last 32 balls with no boundaries. It's been really good from the England spinners, but Pollard and Pooran got cramped and stymied, and eventually something had to give, and either Rashid, it felt like it was just a matter of time. Gorgeous bowling.
He just corrected his line a smidge, didn't he? Because the first one was the googly that pitched on off, and so missed the stumps. This was a googly that pitched on middle and leg
as well. It's that bit of dip where suddenly the ball's not there. It's suddenly he's just he's whipped the cheese away from the mouse at the last minute.
It looks like he should move his feet towards the ball. That's how much it's dipped.
Rashid now getting set to the new bowler who will jingle up in just a moment. It's Ravman Powell who takes the strike. In fact, he was bowled by Rashid yesterday for 5 off of 6 balls. 2 balls left in this 15th over, and that one is in on the hands, pushed back to the bowler. There is no run. Here is what Ravman Powell sounds like.
Ravman Powell's got an awesome name. makes him sad.
Final ball of the 15th over. This one was full, but a big swing and a miss. What an over by Abdul Rashid. Gives up just 2 runs, and he takes the wicket of whoever it was.
Nicholas Paran.
Yeah, it was Nicholas Paran. Thank you so much. And at the end of 15 overs, they are 105 for 4. That'll be it for my session. I'll be back in the new innings. I will turn you over into the capable hands of Kat Jones on Summarizers. Nestlers is doing your social media, and Al Hotchkiss moves over in from social media into the ball by ball chair.
Brian, just before you go,
Yeah.
Ravi Nair, Brian is getting better and better.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Just so you're aware. Good stuff, mate.
I think Brian is a very experienced commentator. Can people please stop saying this about him?
You know.
He's always been good, is what I.
Well, he doesn't sound like he's from around here. You see, that's what it is, Kat. That's
People make assumptions. It's like when they say that I'm getting better and better. It's like women's cricket's getting better and better.
Oh,
you can't make any assumptions.
Oh, dear me.
I know. Amazing.
It's going to be, well, hopefully for this last 5 overs, this dust up of a last 5 overs, it's going to be Mahmood coming in to start the 16th over, and that's down the leg side, and that'll be a wide.
Wide.
Expensive earlier on in the innings. Let's see what he does now. He's going to try and bowl this first ball again outside the off stump, and Pollard has cut that away behind square, and we're waiting to see if a fielder exists. There is. It's going to be Livingston who thinks about throwing it in but doesn't. And in the end, it'll be 2 runs to Pollard. Yeah, I cut my tea went cold. Wait, I was trying to drink tea, but I was so anxious about all those results that were possible in camera. I just like, oh no, wait.
Oh, it's so rare that you can have a win to either side or a tie as well as the draw in play. It's incredible.
Absolutely amazing stuff. And that's a full-length delivery, which is just chopped down on by Pollard, and there'll be a quickly sharpened taken single. Tom Banton doing the fielding. Pollard's on 10. Powell is yet to get a run. 109 for 4. 2 balls gone in the 16th. Hiya, Nestle.
I think Heather Knight will be really disappointed not to get the win there. Such a shame for England. But anyway, the series is still alive, so that's great for the Ashes.
But what a declaration that kind of keeps all those results in play. Maybe a lot for the men to learn there. That's a Yorker delivery, which Powell digs out. Mahmood's unable to field, and judging by the way that there is a lack of movement by everybody, that's just going to be a single down to long off.
So nothing against this match, which is was wonderful, and in fact the entire series is great, hanging in the balance at 2-2. But how much better would it have been for Guerrilla Cricket to have been commentating that match?
Oh yeah.
The women's Ashes.
We couldn't have coped.
No.
Instead of actual words, too exciting.
Too exciting, particularly for that time in the morning.
Yeah, not like the fake Ashes that we dealt with. That's a good length delivery, which Pollard has whipped away behind square on the leg side this time, and that will be just a single. Nelson is your score for 4.
That was a lovely shot, actually, there from Pollard. It probably deserved to go to the boundary, but good field placements from England.
He's quite stylish, isn't he?
Yeah.
Wristy flicks and cuts away, and nicely timed shots through mid-wicket that in tests would go for 4 and various other things.
Yeah. But back to this series, Alan, which has been your favourite match of the 4 so far?
Oh, that's a bouncer. I don't know if that's a no ball. My favourite was the third one. So free hit alert, a beamer. Assuming you get a warning for that.
What, for that jingle?
No, well, true enough. Free hit or lot. Yeah, I suppose like one of those you're fine. Two, you don't get to bowl no more.
No.
So it's free hit, which is a great delivery on the blue line, outside the off stump, and that will be a dot ball off the free hit. So
that was Mahmood's best delivery of the entire match so far, I would say.
From the ridiculous to the sublime.
Yeah, and because there's been 2 extras this over, we do have one more ball yet to bowl, but still relatively frugal here. Just the 5 runs so far, plus the extras.
Well, so 2-7. So last ball, and that is smashed by Powell down the ground, and that is only going to reach Jason Roy. They did think about 2, but wisely just keep themselves to a single. Powell's going to keep the strike. He's on 2. Pollard's on 11, 113 for 4. Nestle boy, how are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Warren says he never knew that Lawrence Fox was such a twat. Warren, you obviously don't spend too much time on social media. Yes,
or at least British social media.
A complete plonker. Jeff says I wouldn't complain so much about being considered to be getting better. I can tell you, it beats the alternative.
True enough.
Yeah, and Diana says pretty much the same thing.
Have you heard James Blunt's response to Spotify?
Brilliant. James Blunt has got a very, very good
it's just fabulous because Joni Mitchell and Neil Young have said take our music off.
Yeah,
and James Blunt said, if you don't address this idea of spurious information, I will release new music. It's just like, well done, you win.
I think, interestingly, Dave Grohl may be taking all of Foo Fighters stuff off Spotify as well.
Yeah.
Others will follow. We have a new bowler, I think.
It's going to be the big left-hander. It's Reece Topley. That's a slower ball, which Powell smears through mid-wicket. It's going to be Chris Jordan who's going to throw the ball back in with laser-like accuracy, but 2 runs able to be taken. Are we going to jingle up Reece?
KB once tried to kill him, and AB smashed him off the park. Then Boyd Rankin shattered his hand. But Reece Topley is.
And that's short, and Powell has hit that a country mile, and no one keeps the West Indies from not having a boundary. 43 balls in a row. That's a 6.
That wasn't elegant.
He's fetched it a long way from outside off stump over deep mid wicket, but it has stayed hit for a very long time. I was dead impressed, Cap, with his innings in the third. In the third T20, that was why that was my favourite one of the series.
Reece Topley's innings or Powell?
Powell's. But Topley's was just as good. That's punched down to long on, and there'll be a single. Both batsmen now on 11.
But that previous hit from Powell, I mean, a better batter would have sent it for 6 over extra cover, but of course he came and hoiked across the line and. I mean, it's great when you can get it over the boundary wherever. Yeah.
There's a saying in golf: they don't ask how, they just ask how many. So
it doesn't say ugly shot on the scorecard.
Yeah, there are no pictures. There are no pictures on the scorecards. Thank God for some people. Topley in Yorker length delivery, hit through to deep square leg. He's absolutely timed that sweet as a knot, Pollard, and that's gone for a 4 before anyone's had a chance to move.
And that boundary a little bit earlier was the first boundary for 7 overs, which is really quite remarkable that it's taken so long for them to open up their shoulders again.
It did seem like for a little bit of that they were kind of gearing themselves up for this sort of last 5 over dash, but it is putting all of your eggs in one basket. 13 off this Topley over. Hasn't really done an awful lot wrong, to be honest, as that is pitched outside leg stump, and Pollard will turn that towards deep square leg. There was a thought, just a thought of a second, but cooler heads prevail, and singles are the order of the day.
Perhaps these two aren't the fastest between the wickets, but
Yeah,
they're not bad. They're doing okay now.
Yeah, there was a look of like, I'm trying. Two, I'm trying. But yeah, sadly not. The West Indies, even without the boundaries, are still going at 7.5 and over. So that's on leg stump, and it's gone between the legs of Powell. I'm assuming that's going to be 4-leg buys, or is he edged that leading edge in between the legs? It's gone past.
I think
Billings.
it's called off the bat.
Yeah, off the bat, squeaky 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Difficult to describe that.
Mog has reacted to the news of the Foo Fighters withdrawing from Spotify and asking how will people bore themselves to sleep then?
Now.
Very ordinary.
Plenty of tedious music on Spotify.
There are plenty of nooks and crannies in the church of music.
I went to see them once, and my mate halfway through turned around to me, looked at me, and I looked at him. He just went, "Ordinary," which kind of summed it up. Anna Forsyth said, "Hello, Gorillas. I've had some Bucks Fizz, and I'm in a splendid mood." Well, good on you, Anna.
We might just say that Anna is not in the time zone that requires that it's 8:30 in the morning or something to be having the champagne.
Is there any time that's a bad time for Bucks Fizz then? Call us.
It's not.
Making your mind up.
Yeah. Well, you're going to speed it up, Nestlers, and then you're going to slow it down. Jordan in wide. Pollard maybe was better leaving that ball. He's hit it down the ground, and we'll get 1 to long off.
Oh, that was a waste. It came off the toe end of the bat. He should have let that go. It would have been wide. But anyway, he's had a wild swing at it. I guess he's thinking he can get it to the boundary, but he couldn't, of course.
It's the next evolution of T20 batsmanship. It's what if you're looking at a different sport, you might call strike zone awareness. That ball that you leave outside of the blue line. I know it runs some risks about what you'll get next time, but this is on off stump, and Powell just with a wristy flick smashes the ball down to long on. Roy will do the fielding, and that's 2 singles, but 2 well hit singles. Smashed the pair of them down for 1.
And earlier on in this innings, before the 10th over, the West Indies were getting a boundary with the first couple of balls, and now they've just kind of lost their rhythm on that. Yeah. And England doing very well, actually. Their bowlers have done a great job in this back end of the innings.
There was just a distant shot there of the surroundings of the ground as this ball is smashed down again by Powell, straight down the ground. Roy does not have to move an inch in order to be able to field the ball and keep it to 3 singles. But there was a lovely rainbow out of some grey clouds, so I don't know whether there might be some rain forecast for slightly later.
So again, a little bit agricultural from Powell at last, or Pollard, wasn't it, that last delivery? And I reckon, we saw the leading edge somehow miss the stumps. One of these two batters is going to chop it on. That's my prediction, Alan.
Okie doke. Well, let's see what happens this time. Powell has got down on one knee, and he has hit this like a howitzer. It's gone to cow corner. It's gone about 3 feet off the ground, and it stayed 3 feet off the ground, and that's the lowest 6 I've ever seen.
It really was powerful, and he's muscled it over the boundary, actually. He's forced it to go.
Oh, tell you what, you don't want to play that guy at squash.
Smaximum.
All wrists.
Yeah.
All wrists. Fetching it a long way from outside off stump to cow corner. I mean, it's gone miles.
Nice. If they'd let that go, it might have bounced 1,000 times and gone all the way to the beach, I would have imagined.
Do you do the thing where you skim stones? It looked like it could have done that. It just skimmed over the water. Maybe it was wind assisted. There is a bit of weather coming in. Cover, 6 more. Powell has taken his liking, and Jordan's length is just wrong. It's 2 6s in a row.
2 6s in a row. 2 6s in a row. 2 6s in a row.
Sorry, I apologise. I talked all over the top of you. There is dots of rain though on the lens.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, I was just taking the opportunity to say the weather looks like one half of the ground is in cloud and the other half in sunshine, but let's hope the rain holds off.
Yeah, English conditions there. So, 1-4-6 for 4. Powell is suddenly on 28, and that's a full toss, which has been edged onto body, and Jordan cannot believe that it hasn't hit the stumps. Powell is looking at the ball as if it's some mystical thing that he's never seen before, but that's the end of the 18th over. 1-4-6 for 4, and the West Indies are a bit more in it.
Brian Barish says any time is a good time for alcohol. I really must be a misplaced Aussie to say something like that. Neymar Butlin says I'm trying to come up with a Reese Toplify gag. Can't do it. Help me, Twitter. Farong's with us. Early morning greetings. 3:15 a.m. from Dakar. 13 degrees. Damn cold here, and I have a pain in my hip from sleeping on a cold concrete floor. Well, it's not really the thing to do. I recommend a bed.
There are more forgiving surfaces.
Is he in prison?
It could be. Final match, who wins the series? Hurry up, Moan, and get yourself over here for Camilla Victorians in the BPL. Coffee.
Is that coffee or cafefe?
Coffee.
Topley will bowl the 19th. He's
You
in.
have 33 off the last 2 overs after 27 off the previous 6.
Kieran Pollard has put the first ball just on off stump, and he's hit it on the roof. Difficult to set a field for that, Cat. Unless, of course, you've got the giant from Jack and the Beanstalk in there.
No, well, they could have them all over the rope. You know, you could put the fielders in the stands. That's about the only way of setting a field for that.
I think that might have gone over their head, even if you put them in the back row of the stand. I think. Yeah.
They'd have to jump a lot.
Topley and Jordan having a chat. I mean, how helpful can you be as another bowl?
I don't know if they're having a chat, Al. I think they're just swearing at each other, going,
I think they're just waiting for they're waiting for the ball to be found. I think.
All right.
I mean, you've really got to know about the sense of humour of your teammate there. Of just being like, I wouldn't bowl there again if I were you, mate. It's not really helpful.
Why is Jason Roy trending on Twitter? He hasn't done anything yet.
Well,
trending on Twitter, Jason Roy.
He's done some fielding.
I mean,
it's that Twitter algorithm that gives you whatever happened 24 hours ago that is very irritating.
50th anniversary of Bloody Sunday and Jason Roy.
Second ball, and that is again just outside off stump, and Pollard has decided to try to hit that ball to long off. Good relay fielding. I think that was Salt involved, but they'll come back for 2, and Pollard's on 26 now, and the 150 is up now for the West Indies. Maybe another 20 runs to make this it'll be quite a difficult chase. 170, 180. What do you think?
It looked like they were going to get 180 from the first few overs, and then it really slowed down, so England will be a bit disappointed about this.
Great response from Topley. Yorker, which has been muscled but not gone too far to mid-wicket. And by the time that Banton's come in from the boundary, they've ran 2. Sometimes mistiming it is just a little bit more productive, isn't it, Kat?
Yeah, that's given them the opportunity to run 2 because the fielders are mostly out. As we said, over the rope, waiting for the ball in the stands. This next one, though, just a couple.
Topley in, back of the length. Pollard tries to pull the ball away, mistimed as it takes down to Banton at deep square leg, but they'll run through for another 2. And Topley can't quite stem the bleeding. That's 12 so far, a 4 delivery.
And Pollard's bottom hand is now twice the size of his top hand. A lot of bottom hand in these shots.
And all of a sudden,
lot of muscle.
From nowhere, a 50 partnership between Powell and Pollard, 53 off 26 deliveries, and it seems like almost all of it has come in the last 2.5 overs.
It doesn't feel like they've been in long enough to have a 50 partnership, but it feels like maybe all of them have been off Topley's over.
Yeah. Spinners good, seamers not so good. That would be the card. Full toss, outside off stump. If Pollard had tried to hit the ball into the offside, that would have been 4 or 6. However, he tries to crash the ball through the leg side again and only gets a single. Opportunity wasted there, I feel.
It feels like all of the fielders on the offside are wasted at this point too.
No, but it was something that we kind of noticed in the first couple of games that England seemed to be doing, but the West Indies weren't, and it's like they've gone back to a leg side theory. This is down the leg side. That's going to be a wide, just exactly what Topley didn't want. So that's 13-14 with 1 ball left to go. Topley's trying to argue that he's shifted. The umpire's looking at him like, nah, sorry mate, can't pull the wool over my eyes like that. The 160 is up with 7 deliveries left.
Wide.
So Knuckles told us Pollard and Purin 16 off 24, but Pollard and Powell 52 off 25.
Last ball, a big step to leg by Powell. It's hit him on that pad. Topley has done the fielding himself. There'll be no run, importantly, off that last ball of the 19th over. And with 1 over left to go, it's 160.
We have a tweet from the man himself, from the god of guerrilla cricket. It's Hendo, and he asks, "Has Powell just smacked the 2 most maximums in cricket history? Maximum height must have been about 10 feet.
If Hendo says it is true, then it is truth.
We bow to our Lord Hendo.
It's Hendo's world.
If
We're all just living in it.
If you're listening, Hendo, we miss you, mate.
Miss you too, mate.
We want you back.
See you soon.
It's not the same without you.
Nope. But we'll see you soon.
Oh yeah, we will.
Last over, Chris Jordan is going to be the person who's going to bowl it. And that is a length ball which Pollard has gently caressed 20 yards over the boundary, sponge back over the bowler's head for 6 runs.
I believe in miracles. Since you came to bat, you 60 thing, you 60 thing, you. I believe in miracles. Since you came out to bat, you 60 thing.
Ball short or ball full, don't bowl length, and that was length. That was just, it was right in the zone, wasn't it, Cap?
I think, yeah, and there's only 14 more runs required off this over to get them to 180, so that looks pretty likely at this point.
Mistimed drive down the ground. It will be a single down to long off. The total is 167. I do like the thing.
It really doesn't matter which of these batters is on strike. They're both
Yeah.
Incredibly seeing the ball, and so they can confidently turn it over for a single and rely on the next one to get the boundary.
I just wonder, I appreciate the experiment about bringing Shepherd up to number 3, but Powell seems to be in a vein of form where you want him to face as many balls as possible.
Yeah.
But hindsight's always 20/20. There we go. Nice joke. Nice joke. Powell in, and Powell has, well, attempted to destroy the sight screen. He's just missed as he goes down and carves another ball away off one knee for 6 runs.
Let's talk about 6. Let's talk about 6. Let's talk about 6. Let's talk about 6.
All Chris Jordan could do then was just laugh.
Yeah, it's all wrist. He's very good. He doesn't have to free his arms completely in order to get power out the ball. And it just
there's no follow through either, is there, Al? He just actually his bat stops at about the midpoint. He doesn't need to throw it over the back of his shoulder like most people.
And doesn't it seem to get there it gets there in a hurry as well. It's not this beautiful arcing 6. It's like blink and it's somewhere else.
It's like a traitor bullet.
And that is filth. A great stop by Billings to a massive wide. I'm assuming it's been called a wide. It must have been a wide.
It has to be a wide.
So umpires spread your wings and call wide.
I don't don't know how Billings has managed to get a hand to that. That is remarkable. He's got that with his left hand. I think the umpire was waiting, Al, to see whether he was going to call it too wide. It was so bad.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I can't extend my arms wide enough to talk about how wide it was. So halfway through.
Would you have had Jordan bowl this last over, Al, or someone else?
Maybe someone else. This has been. Oh, now the ball has been hit by Pollard back onto the stumps. Not sure if there was any fielding contact. There's been 2 run, but I think there may be a bit of a replay here to see about maybe there's a possible run out.
Did anyone get a hand to it there? We're just seeing the replay now.
It was an appeal.
Oh, a foot.
Off the
foot
foot,
to it, perhaps.
but seems to be that 2 is the call. Pollard's on 40 now. Total's 177. And Kat, your magic number is looming into view.
Yes, I think they've got plenty of time now. 2 balls. They could get to 190 out. Well, maybe not. Maybe we need another no ball.
Wide on the blue line outside the off stump. Pollard can only find Banton down at long off.
There was a good pressure delivery there from Jordan.
Yeah.
Just absolutely in the channel where he needed it to be.
Absolutely. So 1 ball left. Powell is the man on strike, and to be honest, even though Pollard's hit 41 off 25 balls, if you're a West Indies fan, you'd probably rather Powell face this.
His strike rate's over 200. It's quite incredible.
Yeah.
Not quite sure what his strike rate was in the other matches, but he's done very well this series.
Well, for his 100, it was just a slight touch over. It was a slight touch over 200, as he has tried to get down on one knee and play the same shot again. He's mistimed the shot. They'll take a single. It goes to Adil Rashid, who, no surprisingly, is fielding on the 45. And if England want to win this game, they will have to go at 9 and over and score 180 runs. West Indies finish on 179 for 4.
It's nice and neat. We'll see if Nestles has any tweets to keep us up to date.
Andy G saying Moeen has himself and Livingston both with an over left, but has gone back to pace at the death, which hasn't worked at all for England in this series. A bit of dense captaincy, in my opinion. Neymar Butlin says, having an Aussie on comms is giving me post-traumatic stress from the acid. No offence, love, but right now I prefer someone who sounds like a German wartime officer.
Wow.
And he comes in over the wicket.
I can't do that accent, I'm sorry.
Mog says, don't make Powell angry. You wouldn't like him when he's angry. And
Well,
on that note, we're up to date.
Well, so
there's some wibbling. I'm just going to go off air for a bit, and I guess you can wibble.
I can.
So our wonderful producer Al Knackle has said that with spin, the result was 4 for 54 from 10 overs, and with seam, the result was none for 122 off 10. Wow!
So what can we glean from that stat? Do you reckon?
Oh, I think we need everyone to tweet us. What does that actually mean? We're having a bit of trouble working that out.
So Jordan is England's most experienced death bowler. They don't have Archer, they don't have Wokes, don't have Wood. Topley already bowled out. It's a huge risk bringing the spinners back. Very few teams bowl spin at the death because miss hits can go easily for 6 and whatnot. You're very limited in where you can bowl. And obviously they bowled the spinners out by that point. They bowled Rashid out by that point. I think bringing Moeen or Livingston on at that point would have been a huge risk. Moeen obviously turning the ball into the right-hander. Pollard is in particular a magnificent player of spin. England, I think, went with their best option, but their seamers have been, with the exception of Topley, poor all series. But you've got to bowl them at some point, I think, and that's what normally happens. West Indies, they were completely stuck at one point. No boundaries for 7 overs. Jordan bowled a couple of decent overs to go along with Rashid, Moeen and Livingston, who were superb. But once Pollard and Powell got their eye in, the ground literally, certainly in Pollard's case, was not big enough. And Rodman Powell has, I think he has entered the IPL auction. I think there'll be maybe some franchises watching. His bat speed is astonishing.
It's all speed and wrist. So if we're going to take off the captaincy by numbers thing, what would be the latest over that you would feel comfortable? Now, let's put Rashid Khan and Adil Rashid in sort of the same sort of bracket and category. Would you be comfortable with them bowling over 18, over 19 in a T20?
In certain circumstances, maybe. I've seen Rashid Khan do it. I've seen Sunil Narine do it. I've seen them both bowl super overs. I've seen Adil Rashid used at the death occasionally in one-day international cricket. In very specific circumstances, on certain pitches, yes. But I think Topley and Jordan were, the best percentage options from what was known at the time, I suppose. But I think you do have to give some credit to Powell and to Carr and Pollard. I think Powell in particular manufactured some boundaries off balls that really weren't particularly bad.
Yeah, it's you don't have to err by a lot, but that's the beauty of the game, is that it isn't clearly defined about what's good and bad anymore. Batters are reshaping what it means to be able to score runs. 360 shots, the ability to get a launch angle off of fuller and fuller deliveries. It's the interesting, innovative element.
It's not been an easy ground for the bowlers to defend, really, apart from the spinners, and briefly, the honourable exceptions, Topley and Jordan, and Holder, who've been superb. Yeah, both of them in this series, but we've seen sixes flying all over the place. If I just refresh, there have been 92 sixes hit in this series, with a whole innings left. Only 3 more sixes, and it'll be the most hit in a T20 bilateral series ever, anywhere.
Well, let's give credit where it's due to the ground staff. They've not been. They've always felt like the pitches have give something in the way of a fair contest. It's not been completely flat.
No, and they've been different. Like the ball's turned. We've seen the taller bowlers get some bounce out of the wicket. I haven't really seen the slower balls be all that effective, apart from Carr and Pollard. But certainly the pitches have been they've been varied. So every pitch has been slightly different, which is not an easy thing to do at the same venue. And they've all made for very entertaining cricket. The one criticism, maybe in a way, is the fact that a few of the pitches have been played right over to one side of the square, so you've had a short boundary, but even that's added an interesting tactical dimension to things. We saw that a bit with Moeen yesterday in that run of 4 sixes he hit off Holder. Moeen kept moving around the crease as Holder was trying to find ways of making him hit to the long boundary, but he kept finding ways of hitting to the short boundary. So I think it's been an entertaining series.
Certainly seems to have been. Slightly more entertaining than the run-of-the-mill 4-0 victory that Cat you were able to be close to home to. What has there been any sort of fallout from the Australian side of things, or is it just glad that's over, we don't have to think about them for another couple of years?
I think that the only thing is something I called for yesterday. Can we have five tests next summer by the women and only 1 from the men? I think that would be a much better for Australia, better outcome.
I do.
Can I just say, I totally disagree with that death over from that last over. I definitely would have bowled Livingston. The last 5 overs of that match were pace, and they saw it easily, and they were in the swing of hitting off the pace bowlers. You might have had a spinner go for 24 runs, but it was worth a try, I think, to change the rhythm, particularly with Livingston able to bowl in both directions. Although they haven't had much trouble with him, have they, Knuckle, over the series?
He's got a couple of he's done quite well. He's bowled pretty well today. 2 for 17 for him off his 3 overs. He get a little bit of turn off his leg break. Look, it's the kind of. I think judging this on the result is not really the right call, because if he bowls a spinner then and he goes around the park, everyone's saying, what are you doing? You don't bowl a spinner then. You've got Chris Jordan, you've got Reece Topley, you've got Saqib Mahmood, as it is, only bowled 2 overs today. So they had
what the 2 overs they were, though.
Yeah, and he's still very much learning his trade at the top level of T20 international cricket, or top level T20 cricket full stop, after a decent decent big bash. I haven't yet seen him tested in the IPL. I don't think he's played the Pakistan Super League yet, which is probably the second best domestic T20 tournament in the world. But he's struggled to make an impact. He's not taken a wicket in the series. Tamal Mills hasn't had the success that he's had on the T20 circuit. Garton started well and then got taken around the park, and even Topley today. England have had a lot of success bowling sort of quote unquote hard lengths, back of a length, and getting the ball to hit the splice of the bat with the seamers. But on these surfaces, those deliveries have just been sitting up to be hit. The slower balls haven't quite gripped, and so they've kind of been left with nowhere to go unless they've had the ability of Topley to get huge bounce out of from a length, or that thundering Yorker that he bowls. But
maybe Moen just lost count and didn't remember that Livingston had an extra over to bowl.
I think it would have been an extremely brave captain to bowl Liam Livingstone at that point.
I think he should have been brave then, because in the BBL they often bowl a spinner at the death, and if you've just been carted for 4 overs on pace, I think it was completely the wrong call. Even going into it, Al, we were wondering, why would you bowl him again? Why would you bowl Jordan or Topley again? Anyway, I'm just being controversial here. I'm sure everyone is tweeting in wildly on their opinion.
I think they're also trying to test out they're looking for combinations ahead of the World Cup. They would want Jofra Archer back. If he's fit, he'll play. He'll bowl one of those. He'll bowl a couple of those.
Oh, there's never
overs.
a question you bowl him at the death, right?
Yeah, and I think probably in most circumstances, I mean, Tamal Mills is not quite. He's had a slightly strange England career in that he's had some incredibly. I was looking this up yesterday. In his 3 T20s before yesterday, since coming back into the England side, he'd gone under 7 and over 3 times and over 11 and over twice. So he's either been excellent or been taken around the park, and that's going to happen sometimes. But he is a really, really good death bowler. Topley, I think, has done enough, and then they want to see what they want to give Chris Jordan kind of a longer rope.
Archer wouldn't bowl over number 20. So current T20 conventional thinking is your best bowler bowls their last over 19.
Certainly in a chase, it's less the case batting first, but yes, the 19th is often
considered just as important, if not more important, than the 20th.
You can do a lot of damage that conditions the 20th, yes.
I think you have to be more flexible in that. You have to be able to read the conditions as the game evolves. And it feels like Moen had already decided when he was going to bowl Jordan and Topley at the start and the end, and he didn't change his mind, even though the spinners surprisingly completely changed the pace of the game in the centre overs, even with these two batters in place. So it feels like he'd made up his mind and he didn't change it. That's what I feel like.
Topley's 19. I think that's probably fair. I think there's been a certain amount of pre-planning going into this series with, as I say, with a kind of longer term objectives in mind. Topley's 19th actually wasn't that bad an over. The first one was monstered over the stand, but the rest of the over was actually not bad. And those last 2 deliveries, he nailed the Yorker a couple of times. He managed to only go for 1 boundary off the over. There
were a few. There was 3 2s in there, wasn't there? It did go for
and one wide just past leg stump.
Yeah, but the thing is that if you don't have the conversation about the idea of where do you try to have flexibility to be able to have more than one approach, if it's a good job we're having it, because the observation that we all see is that very often you don't. It's captaincy that's by groupthink. Almost.
I don't think it's by groupthink. I think there is a lot of planning that goes into it, and there is a lot of matchups that goes in. But there's
also a great deal of unwillingness to deviate from the plan as well.
Perhaps I think, in one way, I see what you're saying. In that, if you were going to try it now with consequences, not no consequences, but more limited than in other circumstances, consequences for failure, you were going to try it now. But if any sort of preparation would say to you that you do not bowl spinners late in the innings to set Kieron Pollard, because the chances of him devastating you are much higher than if you're bowling seamers to him, particularly seamers who have some pace. Now, unfortunately, England did look a little bit like they didn't have anywhere to go. The short ball wasn't working today at all. We saw that when Kyle Mayers was batting. You can't bowl Yorkers every ball because it becomes very predictable, and the sort of the quote unquote hard lengths that England have been very good at actually over the last little while weren't working, and there was absolutely no sideways movement at all. I think we've seen Jason Holder go around the park at the death. We've seen the West Indies struggle at the death, and we've got one very short boundary with the wind going that way. I think this is just not a very easy pitch to bowl on to set batters towards the end of the innings. And West Indies batted, particularly Rodman Powell, very well.
I'd be interested to get. Can we make this something that we ask Mash in the first 5 overs about where he's come from? Because from my limited knowledge of West Indian cricket, he seems to have come from relative inexperience.
Perhaps.
Speaking of that, you need to get rid of me for a little bit. Kat, you're going to be doing ball by ball for the first 5 overs.
Yeah, so at least for the first couple, I may have to abort and hand back to Knuckle. So we've got a plan for that, but it is exciting. Thank you, Al. It's so wonderful to commentate with Al. I always enjoy it, but I really enjoying commentating also with Mashal, who's back. Hello.
Yeah. How you doing? 180 to win. Advantage England.
Right, you think England's going to get this?
I think
You've got a wicked smile, though.
Knuckle, you playing the batters, yeah?
Duckworth Lewis loves you. The clouds part for you. Nothing stands in your way when you're a Roy.
He's a beauty T20 play, and he'll go all the way. He's gonna do better than anyone you've seen before. This is the only way that he knows how to play. Oh, he's a little champion, Tom
The
Banton.
keel won't appeal in vain. A keel is a real person.
So it's Hussain walking in, strolling in, and bowling. It's not a great ball straight up to Roy. It's on leg stump, but he's actually sent it sailing, lofted beautifully to the boundary at long off for 4 runs.
1 2 ka 4, 4 2 ka 1. My name is Lakhan. My name is Lakhan.
Nice start there, Mashal.
No.
So we have Jason Roy on strike. Again, as Hussain is around the wicket, bowling a slow left armers. And Roy likes to look at this, and this time he's spanking it out through the covers for another boundary. Right, well, we're going to find Mashal's a little bit quiet here after these first 2 deliveries. Not the start that the West Indies would be hoping for.
Yeah, Akil Hussain as England have taken a liking to him during this series.
I feel a bit sorry for him as he strolls in again. This is a little bit shorter, and it's punched out to point where it is fielded. And finally, the stem of boundaries is slowed down here with that 3rd delivery. No run.
Yeah, I think this is the first game in the series where he's actually bowled in the power play, which has been his usual kind of position.
So maybe they wanted to get his overs out of the way early. But next one, a bit of a half tracker, and it's on leg stump, and for somehow Roy doesn't put it away. So another dot ball as he just turns it to short mid wicket.
I suspect they've looked at how successful Moeen, Adil and Liam were and said, let's start the spin.
Yeah, so Roy's still on strike here, and this one again going down leg side, sliding down leg side. It is wrapping him on the pads. There could have been a bit of an edge. It's also been caught, and there's a bit of an appeal here. What do you think, Mashal?
Well, Pooran celebrating as if it's the catch that's got him. It's bottom edge onto the pad and caught, but I think Akil was already appealing for the leg before anyway. But
he's edged it onto his pad, so it's popped up into the sky And Roy is gone after a very short and flashy innings of only two boundaries, caught by Purin.
How's that? You messed about, I caught you out. How's that?
It's a very bizarre wicket.
I'm not sure what Akil was appealing for then, because he was appealing before Purin had even caught the ball, so he had to
was
be
appealing for an LBW.
Yeah.
Now,
So, Brian, have we got any tweets while we have this little break?
We do. Let's catch up really quickly. Warren saying, is Rothman Roman with a 5? Or is Roman with a 5? Yes, very good. I like it. Mog saying, don't make Pal angry. You wouldn't like him when he's angry. Warren talking about me worrying about it being rained off. Don't worry about it. Knackle, a.k.a. Aquaman, is on the case. Farong, 66 for naught in the final power play by the Windies. Will it be the difference in this match and consequently the series? And back to you, Kat.
And back to the jingle for Vince. So a slip in for James Vince as Hussain comes around the wicket, and it's a glorious stroke from Vince. It's gone through a fielder. There's a misfield out there in the covers, and they're taking the opportunity to run a couple here. That's disappointing for Hussain, but that's the end of his over, and the score for the West Indies making a wicket there, and England are 10 for the loss of 1 wicket.
Just finishing off the tweets, John Alford. Evening, everyone. Tuning in from Madrid and looking forward to the chase. Well, thank you for joining us, John. Oxymoroniker is with us. We're going to knock it off, meeting the target, no problem. Well, we'll see how the remaining 19 overs go in that respect.
I mean, if I was a West Indian, Roy would be the first person I'd want out, because he's the one most likely to set the base for England for any successful chase. So I'd take another, 9 wickets in the power play?
You may get them, you never know. We do have the history of that very first T20. We're not going to mention it again that England had. We got a new bowler.
He's Jason Holder, radio now. He's gonna take.
Holder's bowling to Banton, and it's straying onto his pads. He turns it round to backward square, and that has gone for 4.
There's not one boy for me, I must have 2 or 3, I need 4.
So, Masha, you were saying, I asked you earlier, which was your favourite of the 4 matches so far? Was it number 3?
Yeah. After this ball.
So Tom Banton with a 4 from his 1 ball faced is again scampering through for a quick single as he's just dropped the ball in short. So that takes the score to 15.
Yeah, game 3. I think Rodman Powell's century has been the best innings of the whole series. That was that had everything. I think there was good placement, good running, and then just brutal hitting. So yeah, that was certainly the most enjoyable game.
And just great timing too for the IPL auction, right?
Yeah, of course. Our players are at their hungriest when IPL is coming up.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And I love watching Jason Holder bowl. He's one of my favourite bowlers, one of my favourite West Indian cricketers. And he's just about to bowl to Vince. Vince is having a good look at the field, and this ball is back of a length, clipped off his toes. It's going out backward of square to that terribly slow fielder who can't quite make it to the ball, but they've managed to get 2 as someone else has come around and taken it inside the boundary. The score's 17.
Yeah, that was
throwing shade.
Yeah, that was Cottrell there. He went down in installments.
Yep.
You go faster.
It was a bit of a belly flop, wasn't it? Straight onto the turf.
Ooh.
So Vince is facing up to Holder, and we are seeing shots
it's a
of
6.
the ball sailing into the sky for 6. My feed is a little choppy. Knackle is going to take over after a couple of deliveries because I can't quite see the field, but...
I know you're a little behind, Kat. I only jumped in because we all heard Knackle pull a bear and just go into hysterics when that 6 sailed over.
It was lovely. It just sailed over the boundary, just an economical 6 that only just cleared the rope, which is always wonderful. But Holder over the wicket. He's bowling to Vince, and this next one is defended, and there's no run. But plenty of runs coming so far, Mashal, in these first couple of overs.
Yeah, England fighting fire with fire here. It's the way to go, though. You get off to a good start, it just makes the rest of the chase easier.
Yeah, and presumably there'll be some quiet middle spin overs if West Indies are anything to judge by. So far in this series, 2 games each for the West Indies as Holder bowls to Vince. It's another boundary, so that is plenty of runs coming from this over.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Disappointed Holder, and I will hand over. I think Knuckles coming back in on ball by ball. I'll see you again in a few overs.
Thanks, Kat. Yeah, that James Vince 6. We saw Moeen play a swoon-worthy 6 over cover yesterday. That was almost as aesthetically stunning from Vince. The high elbow held the pose. He is, for all of his frustrations, he is an exquisite batter to watch, James Vince, when he's hitting them like that.
So good that you've evoked the spirit of Babs Bunny on the Twitter feed.
It was a magnificent shot, and Jason Holder put under pressure at the start of the innings for the first time in the series. Sheldon Cottrell takes over from Akil Hussain, who removed Jason Roy after being hit for a couple of boundaries, angles this one across. Tom Banton, who pushes at it but can't lay bat on ball, through to the keeper Nicholas Puran, who took that good catch to dismiss Jason Roy. Here is Salutin Sheldon.
There's no earthly way of knowing what kind of ball he will be bowling.
There's evil in his eyes showing. It's Sheldon Cottrell, come for killing.
Cottrell in, beats Banton for pace, gets this one to skid through from a length. Banton tries to cut but is beaten by it, and Puran takes a full delivery, rising as he does so, taking it above waist height. Good pace from Sheldon Cottrell.
Good zip here. The thing for Sheldon is, can he maintain that consistency through all 6 balls, or the majority of them?
Done Banton outside off stump. He's holding the ball cross seam is Sheldon Cottrell. Is he going to keep angling across? There's a slip in place now. It was a little bit straighter. Banton pushes from a back of a length delivery into the offside. There is no run. So James Vince is 14 off 5. Tom Banton 5 off 5. We talked about a fair bit during the innings break in terms of whether England should have bowled spinners or whatever. The one thing we didn't talk about is that the West Indies essentially went the long way around to get a par score.
Yeah, the middle overs approach once again came back to bite us. But I always sensed that Pollard was going to come good at the death.
There's a lot of fielders behind square on the offside. I think there's a slip and then 3 fielders saving 1. This is back of a length. Banton trying to find that open leg side but can't beat Kyron Pollard, glowering at mid-on. There is no run. So Cottrell's clearly working on angling the ball across Banton. The first 4 deliveries have been dot balls.
I think it's a good comeback after Holder's mauling in the second over.
Cottrell in short, and Banton does get this one wide of mid-on. Tried it once too many, Sheldon Cottrell. Too short really for the field that he had set, and Tom Banton pulls it past mid-on for 4. A huge gap to the right hand of Kyron Pollard, who was a good fielder but was not going to be able to catch up with that. Interesting to see if there's a change to the field. I mean, there was no one within 50 yards of where the ball interacted with the sponge, with Cottrell having so many behind square on the offside. Haven't seen the field yet. Tom Banton now on 9. Last ball of the 3rd over, short outside off stump, and cut by Banton in front of square. Doesn't time it very well. He's annoyed with himself that he didn't time it very well. Odean Smith does the fielding. Interesting to see if he gets a bowl after not being needed with the bat today. Curious to work out what his role in the side is. 5 runs off the over. England made a decent start, 32 for 1 off 3 in chase of 180 to win the series.
Warren wanting to know what the odds on a Vince 30 plus and then out are. Seems to be going in that direction, but we'll see. Hendo. Hi, Hendo. Watching Sheldon Cottrell realize there is a ball to be chased and then him chasing after it is one of the joys of cricket in the modern era. He has such a way with words. I love it. Ewan Innes, afternoon from snowy Boston. Plowing done now for an interesting hour or two. They got 2 feet of snow up in New England in certain spots. And Alan Hodgkiss replying to Jane Patterson, complimenting all of us. And indeed it is good to be a part of a great team here. So,
well, we do now see Odean Smith, who can bowl pretty quick. Interesting to see what lines and lengths he bowls.
He was just a Smith of tea, if you know what I mean. And he struck the ball so long and...
You're watching various West Indian uncles. This is down the leg side, and Nicholas Pooran has about 5 goes at catching this before eventually palming it round the post, and it is signalled a wide. Leg stump Yorker going a little bit wrong. I have to feel a little bit for Odean Smith, Mashal. Presumably this controversy was not of his making, and he's now suddenly got even more pressure on him to perform.
And that's the point, Knuckle. The one person who's not spoken about any of this is Odean Smith. Now imagine, whether you're his players' union or not, was that the time to raise it with the full glare of the public eye? That's not being a responsible union, I'm sorry.
As Smith is in, glorious shot by Tom Banton. Went for the Yorker, Odean Smith. Missed it, so it was in the slot, but that's a magnificent pick-up over square leg by Tom Banton for a towering 6.
You came out of your hand and into my zone. Now it's up in the stands. It's a 6. It's beautiful and it's mine.
Wasn't even that far away from being a... Oh, actually, we're seeing that first ball of the over, and actually, had the West Indies appealed, let alone reviewed, they might have actually found that Tom Banton had been out down the leg side, or rather, they would have done if... well, there's a lot of ifs there, basically. If Nicholas Pooran had taken that on the first, second, or 5th time of asking, then Tom Banton might have been out. Basically, it shouldn't have been signalled to wide. That, though, will be signalled to wide, as it's again down the leg side. This one, I'm fairly sure Banton did miss.
So I'm sorry.
Wide.
I'm going to interject here, Knuckle, because this is the point that I've been making about Odean Smith. I do not believe that his bowling makes him an automatic choice in... maybe he'll go on to do well in his remaining overs, but I don't believe his bowling makes him an automatic choice in the West Indies team. So to then, as his player union, say he's being victimised, like, it's so dunderheaded. How does that help him with the series still going on?
It's a very odd thing to say for a player who's still finding his way in international cricket. This is a good delivery, though, shorter delivery, and rising, hurrying Banton a little bit and striking him on the chest. There is no run. He can hurry back. I mean, he's probably more useful to the West Indies as a hitter who can bowl a few, but he's just not really been needed in this series. I mean, he was carded to bat at 9 today, so the use of him has been a little bit strange, but no more so than the timing of whatever the West Indies Players Association were trying to do. As Odean Smith is in, bowls full, and Banton defends back to the bowler. There is no run. He's waiting for one again that he can flick over the onside. He does also play the scoop well, and the lap and the ramp shot well. Decent enough over from Smith. Decent either side of that magnificent clip from Tom Banton over mid-wicket for 6. 3 balls left in it. Banton, furrowed of brow, awaits as Smith goes short. Banton tries to clear the leg side, but he doesn't time it at all, and Jason Holder takes the wicket again. Tom Banton done by bouncers. He was by Jason Holder yesterday. This one's hit high on the bat, and that'll just settle a few nerves for Odean Smith in what must have been a very odd week for him. Tom Banton played one magnificent shot, but he's gone for 16 off 12. The West Indies have at their second, England 40 for 2.
How's that? You messed about, I caught you out. How's that?
That's a nice moment for him.
Yeah,
Yes.
lovely.
It's nice when you're in the crosshairs like that to come up with something big, and he's got a wicket. I just have one tweet here. Warren saying, looking at the adjustment on his cap, has Nicholas Poran got a very small head or someone else's hat? And Ewan Innes has chimed in saying, I find Smith tries to muscle the ball more than delivered on length, but then he takes a wicket with it. So what do I know?
He's one of those bowlers who you say there's a lot of shoulder in his action. He doesn't run up fast, but he's got a quick arm action, looks strong of shoulder, and can get the ball down there at pace. Moeen Ali, magnificent the other night, towards the death, comes in at number 4.
Our bed shouldn't touch. Move over, I'm low. I like it too much. Move over, I'm low. You're one hairy dish I love unconditionally. It's
Penultimate ball of the over is angled across Odean Smith, and that's been dropped by Jason Holder at slip. There was a slip in place, a little bit of bounce from Odean Smith, took the shoulder of the bat. Jason Holder, usually so reliable in the slips, had a grab at it, had a second grab at it as he turned around and the ball landed behind him, but it squirted through both times. Odean Smith should have had Moeen Ali first ball, but he's been dropped. Of all the people to drop that, you don't expect Jason Holder to be dropping slip catches.
Jason, he didn't hold her.
No, he didn't. The catch he took the first catch he took was, if anything, harder than the second. It went quick, but Jason Holder would be... Well, you can see he was livid with himself when he dropped the catch. Eventful over from Odean Smith, who then goes short. Moeen Ali pulls, it lands short of deep square leg. Rodman Powell, and they come through for a single. Wide, 6, wide, few dot balls, a dropped catch, a wicket, all sorts happening from Odean Smith. 1 for 9 off his first over. England 41 for 2 off 4.
Canada scored again. God damn it. How do you say dos a zero in Canadian? Dos a zero, eh? Anyway, no, we are caught up on social media, so I'm just wibbling about soccer, which sucks. Anyway. All of a sudden it's now we've kind of centered back on, it seems like, with that wicket.
It's, Odean Smith seems to be a bit of a drama magnet.
I mean, we've seen him in the T10 leagues and a bit in the T20s, where he can hit hard lengths. He's a very quick bowler when he's up to full speed, and what he did with those latter balls was hustle the batsman.
Sheldon Cottrell in to try and do something similar. Moeen Ali can be vulnerable to the rising short ball early in his innings. He turns this into the onside for a single. We didn't see the England bowlers get any of that kind of life out of the surface, any of that kind of disconcerting bounce. In fact, the first ball of that last delivery was off the pad. But we've seen Cottrell and we've just seen Odean Smith get the ball to rise from a length.
Yeah, must watch it. But Mahmood's as quick as probably Odean Smith, but I guess different kind of bowler.
Yeah, he's very skiddy, isn't he? He doesn't hit the pitch hard. Odean Smith looks like and Cottrell to some extent bowls what they call a heavy ball, where the ball doesn't sort of just kiss off the surface. It thumps hard into the surface, and it hits the bat a bit harder, and it doesn't lose as much pace maybe off the surface. It seemed a little easy to line Saqib up a little bit. I'm sure he's a talented bowler, and he'll develop nicely. But even Reece Topley wasn't able to get as much bounce out of the surface as we've seen from Cottrell and Smith. That's short and rising, and Vince controls the hook quite well down behind square. It'll just be a single. No, they'll come back for 2. Good running from Vince and Moeen Ali. I'm not sure who Nicholas Pooran is shouting at there, given that the throw came in from square leg and he was shouting at the bowler.
That would have gone over his head.
I think a better throw would have had him in trouble, you know.
Yeah, it wasn't a great throw from Rodman Powell, but then Nicholas Bruin decided to shout at someone in the general direction of the bowler or long off or long on.
Probably not backing up.
Well, maybe, but it seemed very odd. As Vince faces up to the broad-shouldered Cottrell. Goes full, a little bit of swing. Vince digs this out, trying to drive it. Fabian Allen swoops on it at backward point, and he's not someone you're taking quick singles to. There is no run. Tom Banton dismissal, very similar dismissal to yesterday, trying to drive a length delivery back over the bowler's head or over mid-wicket and being done by bounce. So he's going to have to work on as Cottrell is in outside off stump and pinged beautifully between cover and point by James Vince. That one didn't seem to quite have the zip that Cottrell wanted it to, and Vince puts it away with a minimum of fuss.
1 2 ka 4 4 2 ka 1. My name is Lakhan. My name is Lakhan.
Beautiful shot.
Nice easy stroke. It's the one thing I love, and it's very similar to baseball. Hit it where they ain't, and that's exactly what he did.
Just a little bit of bottom hand to open the face and get the ball into the gap, and once it got into the gap, no one was stopping it. Straighter from Cottrell was getting a little bit of movement back into the left-hander, right-hander rather, and Vince blocks this to backward point. He's 20 off 9, seemingly without any effort, James Vince. England 48 for 2 with one ball left of the fifth. We'll have a change at the end of the over. Al Hotchkiss will take you through the next 5. Plenty to come for England. Liam Livingstone, Sam Billings and Phil Salt sit on the dugout. This one's run the other side of backward point. Lovely placement from Vince. Seems to know where Cottrell's going to be bowling before he bowls. He just opens the face, guides this between short third and backward point. 2 boundaries in the last 3 balls of the over. Sheldon Cottrell's not bowled a particularly bad over there, but he's gone for 11, and England after 5 are 52 for 2.
1 2 ka 4 4 2 ka 1. My name is Lakhan. My name is Lakhan.
Well, 52 for 2 after 5 certainly gives us the idea that England are ahead. Certainly where they'd like to be. Maybe they'd prefer 1 less wicket down, but no stress, no drama so far. My name's Al Hodge. I'll be with you for the next 5 overs. It's going to be Smith to continue. Knackle and Nestle Boy are with me, as that is just pushed across Moeen Ali, turns maybe slightly off the outside half of the bat. Can't beat a sort of a deep gully position, backward point position, and there'll be no run off the first ball of this 6th over, the last of the power play.
And a frenetic start. England will be, I think, fairly happy with proceedings. A similar position in terms of runs to the West Indies were going. They managed to take the power play for 10s as well.
That's right, and that's another ball, short pitched. Ali's just looked to guide it off the face of the bat, almost a replica of the ball that was dropped by Jason Holder. It flies past Holder this time, but it will be stopped by Cottrell down at the 3rd man, and there'll be singles taken.
That's quite well played by Moeen. He's deliberately guided it past Holder. He was in control of that shot. Smith is getting some bounce out of the from back of a length that other bowlers simply haven't found.
Well, they're talking about the fastest ball he's bowled so far in his 8 balls, well, plus a couple of extra wides, is 145 kph. Now that is quick in any discipline, as that is slightly back of a length, but Vince will turn this ball behind square. There'll be 2 taken, well run by both Vince and Ali. Turn that 1 into 2, 55 for 2, halfway through the 6th.
James Vince looking serene and untroubled as ever.
That is true, up until the moment that he finds a way to. But then again, let's not talk about self-fulfilling prophecies. Let's deal with the innings.
His dismissal yesterday was actually very funny. But quietly having an okay series, scoring at about 9 runs and over, James Vince, and with a few scores, nothing hugely significant, but he's made an impact in almost every game.
26 off 11 would be exactly what the doctor ordered as a start as Smith comes in, and that is beat Vince for pace. He tries the uppercut ramp shot, but it is too quick for him, and that's 143 kph, which I believe is about 92 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's quick. It's 149 in this over, which is close on 94 miles an hour. But it's not just the pace out of the hand, because Saqib is quick, and we saw him bowl quick earlier. But there's something in the way that he's able to get the ball to react off this surface, banging the ball in at that pace.
He gets bounce of a man that should be 5 or 6 inches taller than he. He tries the Yorker. It turns out to be a low full toss, which Vince can only play to mid-on, and there'll be a single. 1 ball left in the 6th, 1 ball left in the power play. 56 for 2. And he's an interesting option in the West Indies pace attack.
Yeah, I got the impression in this series they're not quite sure what to do with him. A lot of all-rounders in this side vying for relevance and vying for a role.
This is taking the edge off Ali, a genuine edge, but it falls short of Holder at slip. Another ball plus 90 miles an hour, and that's got them thinking. 4 runs off that over. Smith 1 for 13 off 2. Nestle boy, what are people saying?
Well, on Facebook, Kevin Michael says, can you please ask the lovely young lady to run her fingers through her hair again? I forgot the cricket for that beautiful moment. Knuckle, do you think? There you go. It's the Pantone hair commercial.
It's
miles per hour. Join the 20th century, says Mark.
No,
we got Brexit now. It's all farthings and things over here now.
No, I won't. I refuse. I'll join the 21st century. It'll be Kieran Pollard who's going to bowl the first non-power play over.
Hey, how did you win? Sorry you can't get through. I'm busy watching Kai run Pollard, so I'll get back to you.
That last over from Odin Smith was the first normal over of the innings.
Well, define normal. Pollard in, trundling away. This is outside off stump, but it gives Vince a chance to cut the ball, but way in front of square, and that is a beautiful, well-timed 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Can't bowl wide at Kieran Pollard's pace. He's bowled really well in this series. He's really troubled England, but that was a gimme.
You can't do that. 117 kph. Trundling in is Pollard, second ball. I think cross seam. Vince tries to pull the ball away. Missed time to mid-wicket. Single. And the score moves to 60. As we see, the ball that Vince tried to ramp actually took an edge.
And they didn't appeal.
No,
nobody. Ultra Edge didn't really seem to. It didn't show the normal scramble of the frequency that normally does with edges. So it was a very fine edge.
Nobody noticed in real time.
Nope. Pollard in, back of the length. Moeen Ali can only play the ball down to cover, and there'll be no run.
And we had the wide that was given that actually clipped Tom Banton's bat. Nicholas Pooran dropped it anyway. We did see a couple of very, very bad LBWs overturned in the second T20. Some of the umpiring in this series has not been great.
And that is again back of the length, and Moeen Ali unable to ride the bounce, and it dribbles back to Pollard. And after the initial 4, just a single off the next 3 deliveries. Nice comeback from Kieran.
Again, it seems to be these bowlers with their broad shoulders and their ability to hit the pitch hard are getting a little bit of bounce out of the surface.
Yes, the Pollard in, and that is terrible work by the stumps. A slower ball, which Ali tries to pull away to the leg side. He misses, and then Poran not really in control as the ball comes to him, maybe bouncing just a little bit in front of him, but you would expect better from a man with a pair of wicket-keeping gloves.
It's normally a decent keeper, Nicholas Poran. He did drop one extraordinarily simple catch in the first T20I when he wasn't keeping. It's not been, neither he nor Billings have had a particularly good series behind the gloves, behind the stumps.
Last ball, slower ball, outside the off stump. Ali cuts the ball away, but Powell is there, and he will limit everything to a single, and at the end of that over, just 6 off Pollard. Nestlers.
Jersey Oak says, for some reason, Smith reminds me of Rodney Hogg. Mogg suggests that videos of Knackle running his fingers through that glorious mane could be quite the lucrative Patreon level. Yeah, we're open to anything these days.
Yeah, we'll sell anything. Hashtag give me a big box of that.
Mogg says, do the laws still say you have to appeal for a wicket to be given? Seems like there have been a lot of edges not noticed by anyone lately.
You have to appeal, yeah.
Yeah, you have to appeal.
You have to appeal to the umpire, and if he doesn't like he won't give it.
That is true. Right. It's going to be Romario Shepherd bowling up. Sprinting in on the hip of Moeen Ali. He can only find the fielder on the 45, and there'll be a scampered single. Hussain with the throw at the non-striker's end, unsuccessful in hitting the stumps.
Romario Shepherd has been kind of earmarked as a death bowler primarily, but he's does mix up his slower balls well. We'll see how he goes in this middle overs phase. No sign yet of the second spinner that West Indies brought into the game, Fabian Allen. Didn't get to bat either.
Seeing some dates for some test matches, which we will of course cover for you, beginning on March the 8th. I think it's 2 p.m. UK time is roughly the start time, as that is just dabbed into the offside field by James Vince, and the batsmen are too quick for the fielders, and a lovely single taken.
A little bit of a slowdown after James Vince rather took to Jason Holder and to Sheldon Cottrell. But 4 runs off Odin Smith's over 6 off Kieran Pollard, and just 2 singles off the first 2 of this.
Shepherd in, and that's going to be a wide down the leg side. Attempted bouncer by Shepherd, but misdirected. As we see the replays of what happened in the power play, the catch by Holder, he's running away from the stumps, and he takes the ball over the shoulder. Really great catch, as this is attempted to be cut away by Ali, and that will be, it's gone all the way through to extra cover, and they'll take a comfortable 2. He did well to punch that ball quite so far in front of square.
Timed it nicely, didn't need a little bit of bottom hand coming through. And yes, it was a good catch from Holder. It went a long way in the air, but he did well, and then dropped not a simple chance because it went quick, but a very presentable slip catch the very next ball, when he's a fantastic slip fielder normally. He's got bucket hands and great reactions, but it was like he was beaten by pace.
Once his elbows hit the ground, he was really not in a position to be able to recover to the ball not sticking in, as this is in the slot to be driven by Ali, but he can only find the fielder at cover, and there'll be no run.
Moen started a little bit slowly yesterday before he really got going and got to a point where West Indies basically didn't know where to bowl at him.
Yeah, 6 from 13 though is not the start that anyone would want, but maybe here for a good time, not a long time. Attempted slower ball, which Ali tries to muscle into the leg side, muscles it down to long on. Kieran Pollard with the fielding, just a single. So 2, 4, 5 and a wide, so that's 6 with 1 ball left to go in the over. 68 for 2, and maybe early advances made by England in the power play have been slightly repelled by the West Indies. Very much still an even contest. Shepherd in, turned away to square leg by James Vince. There'll be a single as Shepherd will do his own fielding, and at the end of 8 England are 69 for 2. Nestlers.
Well, Mayank is asking what constitutes an appeal. Most keepers always make some noise and the bowler sticks his arms up in the air whenever the ball is remotely close to the bat or hits the pads. Is that considered an appeal? Yeah, well, yeah.
There's a sliding scale, isn't there? There's the celeb appeal, the Stuart Broad appeal. I mean, that's at one end of the spectrum. Actually, is that even an appeal?
Yeah, he does eventually turn around to the umpire. I think certainly it is better to make some noise than no noise.
Yeah.
Then again,
I used to play with a guy who always used to go, "Yep."
I'm at an age now where I make a noise if I'm getting up out of a chair or starting to sit in a chair. Kieran Pollard is in, slower ball. James Vince tucks the ball to mid wicket. He's looking for 2. Ali's only looking for 1, and 1 will be the outcome.
Is that an appeal to your youth?
Well, it's not an appeal to my back at certain stages, but you know when you go to make the effort to get out of the chair and it's like, yeah. Yeah, but then do you make a noise with that first sip of tea or coffee?
Oh yeah, the
Yes. Well, see also the first sip of a pint or a fizzy drink. It's
oh yeah, that's the stuff right there, that is.
Or occasionally, if you realise you've ordered the wrong thing.
Yeah. As if there's the wrong thing. Pollard into Moeen Ali. It's slightly wider, pushed across him. I think he's a bit unfortunate there. Moeen Ali lets the ball go through, and it's been called a wide. I would like to see the replay of that.
I think that was outside the wide line and going wider.
Well, it's not about where it goes after the line, as that is back of a length, slower ball, and Moeen Ali's managed to find the smallest of gaps between two fielders backward of square on the offside, and eventually, after a small collision between James Vince and the wicketkeeper, they're going to run 3.
Yeah, really well run. Nicely played by Moeen again, just opening the face past those fielders backward of square, and Akhil Hussein's done pretty well there to save the extra single diving full length. But Moeen's finding ways to score, even if he's not quite getting the balls to hit that he would have wanted, at least in the last few, still going well under a run of ball.
A rare 3 in T20s. Vince tries to cut the ball away, can only find Mayers behind square, and no run. So 3 balls into this 9th over. 74 for 2 was the score, chasing 180. The West Indies posting 179. So 180 to win the series 3-2. Pollard in, trundling in, and again gives Vince room outside off stump. He can't time the ball. It will dribble mistimed to Hussain at mid-off, and there'll be a single taken.
Kieran Pollard's using his Jedi mind tricks again to bowl these cutters with absolutely nothing on them and be very effective. He's going at under 7 and over in what is currently the equal 60th T20 series of all time.
Let's see how this next ball goes. And that is going to be a wide. Too far outside Moeen Ali's off stump.
Wide.
Yeah, that one, no problem about that one being a wide.
And Pollard has been doing this to Moeen Ali all series, bowling really wide across him, not letting Moeen swing the ball away over the leg side. Trying to make him fetch it.
Try that ball again, and it is in the drivable slot. Hussain will half stop the ball, but there'll be a single taken as it just goes past Hussain ever so slightly. Ali's on 11. Vince 36 from 20 deliveries. 77 for 2 is your total, with 1 ball left in the 9th over. 2 wides by Pollard in this one, delaying the end of the 9th over a little bit. That's how this last ball is. It's a cutter back into Vince. He'll just dab the ball down towards backward point, short third man. He'll take a single. He'll remain on strike, and England are 78 for 2 after 9.
Jersey Oak reckons Knackle is sporting his Ramon Tikaram look with that hair. I'm going more for the Geezer Butler from Black Sabbath myself. Ed Arbery says, in my playing days, something like a Hail seemed to prompt the umpire into a decision. Warren saying that the Kansas City Chiefs could take their tomahawk chop and stick it up Lennox Layer's neighbours. Something going on in American football, I guess.
There is a game going on which seems to be close going into the final quarter.
Are they still doing the very obviously racist tomahawk chop?
I'm not entirely sure, but it's a long time since I watched a game at Arrowhead.
Bruce Wayne is miles ahead of everyone in nearly all departments, especially appeals, says Farron. Ed Arbery says, who was that Aussie leggy who couldn't get a game because of Warne? He used to just bellow.
Stuart McGill.
Yeah.
Smith in on Vince's off stump. He turns the ball behind square on the leg side, and the heel will take a single. This is going to be the last over of my spell, and there's going to be changes abound in the commentary box as we see some highlights of Moeen Ali batting in other days with other balls being smote.
Yesterday, in fact.
Yeah.
Taking
24 hours is a long time, though.
Taking Jason Holder apart, and then that unbelievable ping over the offside.
Great use of the word smote. I do love that.
It's a little violent for what Moeen Ali was doing to some of those, but
it's like when it says slake your thirst. It's another word that's often not used.
That sounds like that should be the name of an album. Slake your thirst. As that is take a top edge off Moeen Ali. Where has that gone? It's gone away from Hussain. It will drop safe. Another life for Ali, and I think they will run 2. He tried to pull the ball away. It was on him maybe a bit too quick. He's top edged. It could have gone anywhere, and luckily for him, it's gone about 3/4 of the way to the boundary directly behind him, and
landed in between 3 fielders, equidistant. Yep. It was one of those that you think, oh, that's gone straight up in the air. Oh, it's going for 6, and in the end, it lands sort of safely in no man's land.
Lucky boy, Ali, 2 lives. This one, he is trying to slightly more of a regular length, and Ali did try to be able to help it on its way to the leg side. However, it just hits him, and they will take a single, which I will assume will be a leg bye. As we're seeing some stats of Smith's consistent speed above 142 kph. Consistency which has continued in this over. So something when your slower ball is 131 kph. Vince backs away and plays a good length ball on off stump through extra cover. A sumptuous timed drive, and that 4 is the minimum that is worth.
With the super
In the spirit of another man of Hampshire, the very best of James Vince.
A very good shot. A very good shot indeed. This partnership is worth 46, just a shade over a runner ball. And as we approach the halfway mark, England are right where they need to be. Halfway through the time, halfway through the overs, virtually halfway through the runs. But a shot that lets you know all of the potential of James Vince with that last shot.
I'll come to that after this ball.
As that ball is slightly back of a length, he'll dab that down, and by the time Mayers has picked the ball up, they've decided against taking the single. So a dot ball there. Good comeback from Smith.
First boundary in a little while, in nearly 4 overs. But James Vince has been very successful in T20 leagues around the world, in the Pakistan Super League, in Bangladesh, in the Big Bash. He is a respected T20 batter around the world, and for any other team than England, he'd be close to select every game.
Wide of off stump, seems to fool Vince. He seems to want to cut the ball away, but in the end almost backs out of the shot. And as drinks come onto the field, and as Nestle gives you a chance to go through some tweets, mate, before the third quarter of this innings, 10 overs are in the books. Speak to you guys later.
Daft Penguin, is it Friday yet? Says the days of bowlers screaming, how's that? 10 times in one appeal are seemingly over, sadly. Mayank says Pollard does a great job of making his run up look like a jog when it's really a high knees walk. And Warren Tat comes up with Emerson, Slake and Palmer.
I love it all. Well, we join you with 10 overs to go in this match, and indeed in this series. England 86 for 2 off of a good partnership by James Vince and Moeen Ali, which have yielded 46 runs. England requires 94 from the final 60 balls. We are in tri-continental mode. I am Brian Barish, joining you from Philadelphia, with or without Pennsylvania. Kat Jones is our summarizer. She's joining us from Melbourne. Try our coffee for the love of God, Australia. And Sean Nestle Boy Tracy remains in the social media seat. He is based in Epping. We were in a Genesis song once, Forest.
The Battle of
Epping Forest. I think I think England's in a pretty good position, and we've talked about how difficult it's been to chase in this series. West Indies, by the way, were also 86-2 at halfway. We've talked about how difficult it is to chase in this series if you throw out that first match where the target was a paltry 104. But England seem to be making the best of it at this point, and they are, it's a fair way back, but Kat, they seem to be in a decent position where they can steal the win here.
And also with these two batters in form, this is Vince's top score for the series, I think. Let's have a look, his other scores, 34, 16, 4 and 14. So he looks in pretty good touch. So we'll soon see whether he can carry on with it and get to his 50, hopefully.
Yeah, he seems to be pinging the ball pretty well. I mean, the fact that he's been getting those short balls, but he also, he has 5 4s and a 6 off of it. So he seems to be kind of, like I said, just pinging the ball to different parts of the oval, which is good. As we again, just the 2 wickets so far. The first 2 batters were out. Jason Roy caught Poran, bowled by Akil Hussain for 8. And then Tom Banton caught by Jason Holder, bowled by Odean Smith, who, as we've said throughout this day, has been the subject of some controversy this week in the Caribbean press. He was out for 16 from 12. Go ahead, Kat.
I was just going to say, Moeen Ali's been a bit of a bellwether for England. When he bats well, they win. So he's had a variety of scores so far. That first match, he's had 2 ducks in this series. He's also scored 31 and 63. So provided he's off the blob, and he is today, he's on 14. This is ominous for the West Indies. New bowler.
Yep.
He's Jason Holder, ready or not. He's gonna take a wicket if you like it or not, and then make runs because he
I always wait for the bit after that jingle stops.
The angular Bayesian bowler in, and that one is, it's going to be caught, I believe. Yes, it is. Great catch, first ball of the over, and that one is speared to mid-wicket. And Ali, just as we were saying, so goes the England team. He is caught out for 14. What a catch!
The Aussie did that deliberately.
Sheldon Cottrell, I believe, was the man who took the mark. In fact, no, I'm sorry, it was Mayers, Kyle Mayers, who took the catch. Thank you so much at cover, and Ali has to go. Oh, did I curse him? I'm so sorry. I was really looking forward to Ali having
deliberately. You've got the Ashes. You've won the bloody doubles. You won the ladies singles. Yeah, you're really running it.
They're all she's those Aussies. There's a really good line in a movie. Best use of mind games in the T20. There's a really good line in a made-for-TV movie about the first Olympics, and about Edwin Flack, and the English ambassador is convincing him to run for England instead of Australia, and he says, "You Aussies are a cocky lot," and Flack says, "It must be something in the beer, sir."
Yes.
This gentleman will come to bat with England 86 for 3.
I am Livingston, I play for the Lightning. My one-day kit is blue, but for the tests it's white.
Liam Livingston comes to the strike with Vince on the other side on 42. Second ball of the over for Holder. It's a bouncer, but that one is deflected to the offside behind, behind point, backward point we'll call that, and he is off the mark on his first ball. They are 87 for 3.
And Livingston does his job there. He needs to get a single, get Vince back on strike. Let's have a look at his form so far this series. He's batted twice and he's made 16 and 11. So he hasn't covered himself in glory yet, but this could be his innings, Brian.
16 for 15 yesterday was Liam Livingston before being caught by King off the bowling over Mario Shepherd. Third ball of the over from Holder over the wicket, and that one is batted down towards square, and they toddle through for a run as Vince now goes to 43 off of 26. England 88 for 3.
So we need Vince to be starting to hit the boundaries. I'm not sure that Livingston is going to. I haven't. No. Did he hit a few boundaries yesterday?
He had 1-6, and that was it. Went at a clip of 106.67 for the strike rate. Livingston stands in, right-handed batter. And here is Holder over to the wicket, and that one again flipped off legs this time to sort of in between mid-wicket and long on, and that one is corralled. I believe there was no, I was going to say that was Sheldon Cottrell, but it isn't. But they've come through for a run, 89 for 3, 4 balls into the 11th over.
You know, I found out the other day that my mother and father were that close to doing the £10 pom thing in the 60s. You know, where they were encouraged.
You could have been born in Australia.
I would have been born. I would have been an Aussie. Imagine.
I can't.
My
imagine.
dad was a £10 pom, I might say.
Driven for a single to a long off, and that will go through for a run. Vince now goes to 44 with 1 ball left in the over. England are 90 for 3.
But here's the other thing: my father came over to England instead of America on the toss of a coin. He was in Dublin with his mate and he flipped a coin, heads New York, tails Liverpool, and it came up tails.
Final ball of the over from Holder comes in. That one is deflected off the bat, and that goes to third man, and that will run all the way over for a boundary off the final ball of the over. Holder, 4 singles, a wicket, and a 4. 94 for 3 are England.
And Marcus sent a tweet and he says, you know, Nestlers, you're getting really good at reading out tweets. I mean, yeah, I'm trying. I mean, it's a new thing for me, social media.
We just found out, Nestlers, that you wouldn't have been Nestlers if you'd gone to Australia. You would have been, I think Knuckles suggested you would have been Tim Tam Boy or something.
Tim Tam Boy.
Tim Tam.
That close, that close to doing the
You'd be Tracers.
My sister knows all about the family history and stuff, and I have to find out more about that. But she told me the other day that it was really, really on the cards. I can't remember why it didn't happen.
You could have been an American, and you could have been E.L. Fudge or something.
My grandfather was from New York, so I'm quarter American anyway.
Oh wow,
New York,
New York, corned beef from New York City.
I always ask for a cheeseburger.
Yeah, cheeseburger. Oh, love it. All right, Hussein is now in, and this is what he sounds like.
The kill won't appeal in vain. A kill is a real.
First ball around the wicket from Hussein, slapped down to the offside through the covers and to deep cover where that is fielded, and they have come through for a run as Vince now 45 from 28, 5 away from his half century. England 95 for 3 after 11.1.
And of course, Brian, we were talking before about your commentary and how you've done a lot of commentary, haven't you? But just not a lot of cricket commentary. Is that right?
My main sport is Australian rules football, if you can believe it.
Yeah.
But I'm working into it. I'll get to that in a moment. Here comes Hussein with the second ball. He does that little start to jog, and he's like, nah, I'm just going to walk in, and then uncorks one, and that one is slapped, and that's going to be caught out. As that one was a very lazy line drive that was caught at on square, and Livingston has to go. He goes for 6 off of 4. Hussein has his second over for the expense of 11 runs, and England now 95 for 4 as they're starting to untether a little bit.
Just before that wicket, Ravi Nair tweeted in saying, I have a bad feeling about this. I don't think England will make it.
Oh, Ravi. Well, there it is.
I think he's the one who cursed this one then. He was the curse for that ball.
And it's Odean Smith who takes the catch there at mid-wicket. And we talked about how big it was for him to pick up a wicket. There he has a very steady catch. So, again, 95 for 4 England. Nestlers.
Mog says New York, so good they named it twice, like Wagga. Mm-hmm. I assume there's a place in Australia called
Wagga Wagga, which is in New South
Wagga
Wales.
Wagga.
Wagga
Wagga Wagga.
Wagga Wagga.
I said it the American way.
I like Wagga better.
Wagga.
Yeah, you've got to be careful how you say it the other way.
Yeah. Anyway, we now have the man who is suitably caught up on sleep stepping to the crease, the wicketkeeper.
Stroking the ball through the covers, pinging it deep through backward. Billings is softly scoring runs. Billings is softly hitting long, laying his own shots undeterred. Billings is softly.
Hussein now with the third ball of this over, round the wicket to the right-hander, and that is driven to long off, and that's going to roll and be stopped. And Billings gets off the mark with a run. Yesterday, he was 13 not out off of 4 balls, including 2 sixes. So I think he'll probably be a little bit more measured, considering that he's not coming in. He's sort of coming in the middle of this innings. Wouldn't you say, Kat?
Yeah, and I actually think that Hussein, I was just going to mention Hussein is actually bowled well this series, relatively well, and so he's doing well this over too.
That one is slapped to the covers, and they have come through for another run as Vince now goes, or rather they've come through for 2 on that one. Vince now 3 away from his half century. He's on 47 off of 29. England now 98 for 4, 11.4 ball overs bowled. As darkness has descended upon Bridgetown on a beautiful evening, here is Hussein round the wicket for the 5th ball. And this one is slapped down, 1 bounce and over as a great shot by Vince. That's his half century. He's on 51 from 30 balls. That also brings up the 100 for England. They're 102 for 4. Very steady innings by Vince, rewarded with a half century. Final ball of the 12th over. This time it's towards off stump and hit towards deep extra cover. Diving stop there. Was it touched? Yeah, it was. He got it. It is going to be 4. As he dived, he did make the stop, but he also careened into the cushion while he still had contact with the ball. That's 4 runs. That ends the 12th over. 12 runs given off of Hussein. He does get the wicket, however, and after 12, England are 106 for 4.
Oh, we've had the tweet. Jersey Oak, we're doomed. Mog says the American way, wagga wagga, aka wrong. Now. English is an ever-evolving language.
It really is.
And you can say it how you like. Just don't try and ask for a banana milkshake in America, because they go vanilla, and you go no banana, and they go vanilla, and you go no banana.
I know
and it goes on for a while, especially in North Carolina.
North Carolina mentioned Claxon.
Yeah, Brian does great in commentary. It's just some of his terminology leaves me lost. I'm not sure what a line drive is, but keep it going, Brian. You're a wonderful addition to the Gorilla family.
Cheers, O'Neill. Well, a line drive is basically just that. It's a hard hit ball that just zooms out on a line. New bowler for the West Indies, and he sounds a little bit like this.
I seek him here, I seek him there, from Sabina Park.
Allen, it's first ball to Billings, who has to play that one to point out of self-defense. Billings does, and there is no run. Allen back at the mark so far. This actually, I think it's his first over, and that one is driven through the covers, and that will be stopped at extra cover there. They're going to hustle through. I believe they're going to take 2 out of that, and they are. Good running there between Billings and Vince. Billings now is 3 off of 3 balls.
And Billings' record so far this series, 2, 5, and 13 not out. So he hasn't had a big hit out yet. This is it. This is his turn.
Oh,
yeah,
no, he's going to get out now.
Has he Mazda? Well, that one was played, and that one is played to backward point, and that one's going to roll. Nice diving stop there, and they're going to pick up another 2, but it saves half of a boundary at the very, very least, as the man there got on his horse. Let's see this once again. This one was tailing in, looked like it was tailing in on leg stump, came back in between middle and off, and Billings just played with it, got a thick outside edge to go behind. So 2 more runs to Billings, who's 5 off of 5, and now he slashes at this one. Then the covers fielded in the outfield there. They come through for another run. Billings now 6 off of 5, so he's running at a tepid pace at the very least. England are 111 for 4 after 12.4 overs.
And Vince really whipped the ball through there and got a very rapid run. Billings. So it's starting to turn over the strike a bit more here.
Vince bunts this one down, and that one is fielded in the point region, and there is no run. Vince on 55 off of 32. That is his second T20 International 50 for the man in Vince. Last ball of the 13th over. Big swing on a miss on a good ball that was missing outside stump, and that ends the over. Allen gives up just 5 runs off of it, the 1 boundary and the 4, and at the end of 15 overs there, they are 111 for 4. 13 overs, sorry.
Mog is saying that when he was in the US, the locals had all sorts of trouble working out what I wanted when I asked for a Coke. I remember being in a place in North Carolina out in the countryside called Warsaw, and we stopped at a convenience store, and there's a few people in there, and I asked the guy, have you got any just regular cola? And the whole place stopped and looked at me. And he just went, could you say that again? Have you got any regular Coke? Where are you from? It's like, yeah.
I got a great story. My in-laws are from right on the Virginia-North Carolina border, and they went down to Georgia to pick up a trailer once, and they were talking with, I'll continue the story in a moment. Hossein is back into bowl. He's 2 for 22 off of 2. It's a Richie special as Billings guides that one to the covers, and they go through for a run. They went down to somewhere in southern Georgia, and they were striking up a conversation. And they said, "Oh, you're from Norfolk, Virginia. Y'all got any fancy restaurants there?" Yeah, we have a couple of nice places. And then the guy leaned in and asked my father-in-law, "Y'all have any Olive Gardens?" which is sort of like a carbon copy Italian restaurant chain for those who don't know. Second ball, the Hossein over is in, and Vince again goes to the offside, and that one I think it may have gotten there on a hop. I don't think that was a drop. The ball the camera went too fast for me to tell, but either way, no run.
I think it went on the bounce, and that was a wonderful delivery from Hossein. He's bowling beautifully. It was wide outside off stump, turning, hard for the batter to reach, and Vince's reach for it not successful.
Popped up in the air. Does this have the distance? No, it does not, and that is caught by Allen at mid-on, and Hossein stirs the pot of soup, so to speak. That's his third wicket. Vince goes on 55 from 35. Very good innings from him, but now England have lost half their wickets. After 13 and a half, they are 112 for 5.
How's that? You messed about, I caught you out. How's that?
That is the sort of ball that induces those pop-outs like that, and that's exactly what happened there.
It's pretty funny.
And those celebrations from Hossein, he does a different one for every wicket, doesn't he? I don't know what the earlier one was where he was bending over with his hand on his back. Does anyone know what that one was about?
No. But I was just saying, Brian, when you do that, when you summarise like that, I always, in my head, imagine you to finish with, and we're in the bottom of the ninth. Because I never used to know what that. I used to listen to American sports commentary and hear all this. There's a flag on the play. Well, get it off. Is it in the way?
What is that dirty laundry doing on the field? You know.
Anna Forsyth wonders, has Billings overtaken hours travelled with runs scored yet? Line drive is not hyperbole, says Warren. Yeah, fair enough. Olive Gardens give unlimited breadsticks, says my
And here comes the man with number 61 on his back. That means that he is a fettuccine Alfredo.
Get up on there. So salt, yeah, Phil is here. Want you to push it good into the offside. Scores runs around the park. There's no way.
Fourth ball of the over from Hossein to Phil Salt, and he guides that one to the offside, and another run taken as the procession of players, or rather, no, that was Billings because they did cross. My apologies. So Billings now goes to 8-7, and now it'll bring Salt to strike for the first time. Salt yesterday was a golden duck. He was caught out by King off the bowling of Jason Holder.
But prior to that, he has got one good innings in this series of 57, so he may be in for that innings today. I'm not trying to curse him at all. Hopefully he can make something of this.
Send complaints to Cat Jones, care of Gorilla Cricket, as the fifth ball of the over from Hossein comes in, and that one is just pushed forward back to the bowler. There is no run. Phil Salt again.
Incredibly good bowling from Hossein. He's done a wonderful job this match, and he will be player of the match if the West Indies bring it over the line.
Yeah, I've been pretty impressed with him. I've been pretty impressed really with this entire West Indies attack. Final ball of the 14th over, and no, we're gonna do that all again. Speaking of flags on the play, I should check the score of the Bengals game while this is happening.
It's the 42 on the 9th, and there's a flag on the play.
Well,
what is that all about?
We'll catch you up in a minute. Here comes Hossein bowling in, and that one is off the end of the bat, but that just goes back over the non-striking side wicket. I think they did get a run off of that. I couldn't tell. Hossein just gives up 3 runs for the over. I don't think he did. No, they didn't. As Salt is 1 from 2 balls. Billings 8 from 7 after 14 overs. England are 114 for 5. They need 66 to win from the final 36. Nestlers.
O'Neill Harris says, in Gastonia, North Carolina, I asked for a sandwich with no mayo. They gave it to me with no matto. That's the first time I learned some tomato. Yeah, tomato. Let's call the whole thing off.
The Cincinnati Bengals are 1 minute and 28 seconds away from possibly upsetting the Kansas City Chiefs after being down 21-3. Here is Allen as we return to the sport I'm supposed to be calling, as Salt flicks that one off his legs to short mid-off, and Salt comes through for a run, his second. They are 115 for 5.
You're really drying up the runs here, and England being 5 wickets down, you get the impression that they're just not batting deep enough. But these two may still open up their shoulders. We never know.
Allen gave up 5 runs in his first over. Here's the second ball of his second, and that one is slapped down to mid-wicket, and they will come through for another run. As that time, I think it really was Sheldon Cottrell, who I've called 3 different people. They've come through for another run. Billings now on 9 from 8, 116 for 5. England needs 64 from 34.
And the West Indies fielding, particularly on the rope, hasn't been spectacular.
Big swing and no contact whatsoever. That was an absolute beauty from Allen. Salt went down on his left knee to try and slog this one. Let's see where it ended up. Oh, it an inch to the right, or 2.54 centimeters, depending on what side you're on, and that would have been bowled. And this time, Salt goes the other direction and bats that one through the offside for 1 run, as I think that ball was in just about the same spot that Allen bowled the one before.
Allen very unlucky not to get a wicket. He sent the straight one down and certainly bamboozled the batters here, and they're not taking advantage when a ball strays onto the pads. They're just not spanking it to the boundary as they should.
Fifth ball of the over. Billings guides this one down. They're going to come back for a second, and they're going to do so easily. Billings will go on to 11, and England 119 for 5. We are due a change after this, and just bringing up to see who will be on. And my thanks to everyone for putting up with me for today, and had a lot of fun doing ball by ball, and you'll probably hear me during the test series.
It's a pleasure as always, Brian.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. But it helps when I have good people to call with, which has been everybody, of course.
And we are very much looking forward to the test series. We've got a month or so to wait, but that'll be fantastic.
That has been given as a no ball. It is a free hit. That's what happened. Here it is again. Oh yes. Oh, that's very close.
It's an overstepping no ball.
Very, very close. There was, they would have had to have gotten out. I don't know if I should read that out. But
well, hang on, is the bear suddenly coming?
Knackle has morphed into the bear. So it is a no ball, or is it? Now they've taken that off. I don't know what's happened.
Giving him his 2 runs back.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened. They've taken away the no ball. No, it wasn't a no ball because there was nothing between the line there. So forget everything we've said. The last ball was a swing and a miss. That's the end of the 15th over. England are 120 for 5, I think. That's going to do it for me to take you through. This game's still very much in the balance. England needs 60 off the final 32. West Indies have a 69% chance of winning. Nice. And to take you through the final portion of this game, we hand it over to Mashal St. Patrick Hewitt on summarizing. Al Hotchkiss is your social media megaphone, and calling ball by ball, Knackle M. Pandit.
Thank you, Ballpark
See you later.
Thank you to Ballpark Brian Barish for another fine bit of work. West Indies very much on top coming into the last 5 overs, but we've seen some death explosions from the batters, but Phil Salt falls trying to provide another one. Akil Hussain having a day out at Bridgetown hangs this outside off stump. Saltkin charging down the wicket, a little bit of turn beat him. Nicholas Puran whips the bails off. Akil Hussain has 4. Phil Salt goes for 3. England 119 for 6. They have collapsed from 86 for 2 to 119 for 6. Need 12 runs and over. Akil Hussain is spinning the West Indies towards a series victory.
Is this where I get to do my Ian Bishop thing?
How deep's that bag?
Here he goes. Akil Hussain, take a bow! Take a bow!
Remember the name as as a man who's smashed the ball around the ground he grew up on a few times in this series already, needs to do it again with England needing 61 of 29. Here's Chris Jordan.
Chris Jordan's back will make him cry, more England caps will soon draw nigh. Or if they don't, then it will seem he'll wish he'd joined the windy team.
Less than a year into his international career, Akil Hussain, after a number of years taking wickets around the domestic circuit for Trinidad and Tobago, and then in the CPL for Trinbago Knight Riders, bowled really well in the middle overs throughout this series. 4 for 25. He has his best T20 figures. This is one to turn. Chris Jordan doesn't know what to do with it. Tried to turn it to leg, and it squirts off to short third off the outside edge, and he has bowled really, really well today.
Seemed to be bemused by the speed of it more than anything else. Jordan there, but just kind of just a tempter, wasn't it, Nash? Nice and wide.
As Hussain is in back of a length, a little bit of turn using the pitch and what it has on offer. Odean Smith comes round from point. They will take a single. Billings, England's last recognised batter, although Jordan can hit him and so can Rashid. Will need a hell of an effort to get England over the line from here.
Yeah, earlier on, Knuckle, I said that Keyword hadn't had a good time of it, and I didn't mean that in the sense of no wickets or not bowling well. I more meant that in up to now in his international career, he tends to go under 5.
As Hussain is in a reverse sweep from Billings, but he misses it. A little bit of bounce taken by Puran outside off stump. There is no run. The wicketkeepers share notes.
Yeah, so if I just finish that point, he tends to go under 5, so he's taken a bit of tap in this series, but still being effective in terms of wicket taking. So I guess rough the smooth.
Comes in, penultimate ball of this super spell is cut and just over Smith at backward point. Not well timed at all by Billings off the top edge. Romario Shepherd chases it down from short third. They'll come back for a very streaky 2. Could have easily landed in the hands of Odean Smith and given Akil Hussain his first 5 for. Looking at the figures, Akil Hussain's gone at 7.46 and over, but that's got to be taken in context of a very high scoring series.
Yeah, true as well. It's just I don't think he would have experienced much of that at this point internationally.
He's bowled on some very spin friendly domestic surfaces and a couple of spin friendly CPL tournaments over the last couple of years, and a very spin friendly surface in Bangladesh where he was earlier in the year, and in Sri Lanka as well. This is punched back with a square by Billings, and they come through for another 2. Just 5 runs off the over, and Akil Hussain ends a fantastic spell. 4 overs, 10 dot balls, 4 for 30. He's ripped the heart out of the English middle order. England need 56 off the last 4 overs to take the series.
Right, let's go through some tweets. Woi Pom, any idea what Hussain's pot stirring is about? Well, you've got to have a celebration for every wicket, haven't you? I mean, it's every run of ball.
If I just jump in, Alan, do you believe that it's also in relation to all the stirring of the pot with regards to this the lack of harmony?
What was the bending over like an old man thing about?
I'm not sure, but I've got a theory which I'll tell you later, but I can't be certain for that one.
Fabian Allen has bowled a good couple of overs here. The spinners have had a good series, even on a pitch where the seamers have gone round the park. This is the equal 6th T20 international bilateral series of all time. But Fabian Allen and Akil Hussain have done pretty well, as have Adil Rashid and Moeen Ali, and in patches Liam Livingston. This is muscled by Jordan down to holder at long off for a single. England need an over to go for 15 or 20 to get themselves back in the game. Can Sam Billings provide?
I'm trying to think where England came unstuck here, because they were well on par. When Moeen and Vince were in, they were on par with the situation.
They were 86 for 2 at halfway. Down the track comes Billings, and Allen, I think, might have seen him coming and fired it in shorter. Billings has to pull out of his attempted stroke and flat bat it down to Pollard at long on for a single. We've just seen on screen a run a ball rather for the last 6 overs and wickets lost. They've struggled for timing. No one was able to, other than Vince, was able to find any timing at all for any length of time in this game. And this is cut by Jordan, hard but straight to Kyle Mayers at cover. There's no run.
That's a good point, Knuckle, because this goes back then to what Pollard was doing in the middle over Zupuran. For all the cussing he was getting, he trusted himself with Rovman to come good at the death. So
as Jordan's in, Alan is in, has hands on heads as the ball hits Jordan on the thigh pad. There was no way that was going to be an LBW shout, comfortably drifting down late. They come through for a leg bye.
It'll be interesting because what we talked about at the end of the England innings was the switch back to pace.
Billings goes outside off stump, drills this hard and flat, not quite the Odin Smith smacks him and one bounce four, but England need a lot more of that. Good shot from Billings from outside off stump.
It's an error in length more than anything else, isn't it? It's just a bit too pitched up.
Yeah, it wasn't tossed up, it wasn't exactly thrown up there, but and he's made Billings fetch it from outside off stump, but Billings has done that. He's a good player of the sweep and reverse sweep. That bottom hand coming into effect. First boundary for a little while for England. Another boundary here makes it an acceptable over for England. Can Allen finish strong? Billings goes outside off stump again and sweeps again. This time can't beat Brandon King at deep square leg, so it's just a single. 8 runs off the over. England need 48 off the last 3 overs to win this series.
Mark says we really don't have enough jingles featuring hardcore white boy rapping. I mean, quite frankly, if you can't do anything with the words "Ice Ice Baby" by Vanilla Ice, there's nothing else to refer back to. Let me see, what else have we got? Mog also says a sandwich shop near me where I used to work would always write "no cum" on a sandwich when I asked for no cucumber. That seems disgraceful. Simar in the USA. As a lifelong North Carolinian myself, I am no better at getting the locals here in NC to understand me. I blame my grandmother, who was from Belfast. Mark, by good people on with him, Brian means Fred is absent. That's a bit harsh. And Diane Patterson, never good when Fred Titmus is absent. Irony is too much absent. We could all do with a bit more irony in our lives, I think. But it's going to be more pace.
It is going to be Odin Smith, who's had a very good day. 1 for 21 off his 3. Hustled the top order, and he was part of the slowdown as well. He's into Sam Billings. This is a poor delivery, a slower ball, which goes wrong out of the hand and is a wide.
He was just 15, if you know what I mean. And he struck the ball so long and clean. So why would we play with another? When Odin Smith standing there.
What a shot that is from Sam Billings. We saw Tom Banton essay one of those earlier off Odin Smith. Went for the leg stump. Yorker missed his length a little bit, but Billings gets under it and whips it away over deep square leg for 6.
Oh, I say, chap, give me any lip.
I was just about to say, this is a great test for Odin Smith, relatively new to international cricket, bowling in a potentially vital time of the game, but pressure on him early as Sam Billings nearly deposits him into the paddling pool.
Yes, I wouldn't have bowled Smith again. I know why they're doing it, because you're gambling almost that his pace can nick you another wicket and effectively kill the contest.
We were talking about this with England, should they go with the guy who's been bowling well today, or maybe this was the plan. We won't know. I'm sure hopefully someone will ask Karen Pollard about it. He had a good CPL. Did he bowl at the death in the CPL?
It doesn't ring a bell. And when you've got Romario, and Sheldon, who are more experienced, it's a big call.
Romario Shepherd's gone for 7 off his first over. He's had a poor series with the ball, but he does bowl more at the death. Smith is going round the wicket now to Billings. All the field is in front of square, but on the boundary this has gone a long way up in the air as Billings tries to take advantage of the fact that there's only one fielder behind square on the boundary, and he's got enough of a top edge that it cleared the infield and landed just short of Kyle Mayers running round from deep third to fine leg. He tried to fetch that from way outside off stump. In fact, Mayers was trying to backpedal from short fine, and Billings got enough on it that he couldn't reel it in. He's lucky, but he survives. Billings doing good work again for England, 29 off 18.
He's done well to stop, because he's running directly towards the boundary, and he's done well to locate the ball, pick it up, stop, turn, throw. He's done that fairly much in one motion. That's really good fielding.
9 off the first 2 deliveries. Good ball from Odin Smith. Goes wide across Billings. That was the angle he was looking for last ball, but he got his length right this time. Goes under the bat. Dot ball. Good slower ball from Odin Smith.
I think Billings has realised that this has to be the over where you give yourself a chance. You can't leave it to the penultimate one to try and go for 20 odd. You've got to target Smith here.
Well, I mean, the required run rate was 16s at the start of this over. You had to go. You had to go. Still time for this to go wrong for England. That's length, and Billings has clubbed this over long on. That's a great shot, a fantastic effort. It completely in vain from the fielder down there at long on. Flung himself full length. Was probably about 5 feet off the ground, but his entire body was over the field. Only Fabian Allen would even try something like that. I guess he was trying to bat it back into play, but Billings has got plenty of that. Another 6. And Fabian Allen actually got most of a hand to it. One of the very few fielders in the world who could have got close to saving that. Unbelievable athleticism.
He's completely horizontal, isn't he? When his hand makes contact with the ball, he's completely horizontal.
Slower ball Yorker. Billings gets low and drives this down to long off. He wants to keep strike. It's been a good over for England. They needed this. 16 off the over, 1 left to come. Fabian Allen very nearly got enough of a hand to claw that back into play. His show reel would make for a very, very entertaining 7 minutes on YouTube. An astonishing athlete.
I wonder whether bowler like Smith, because it's all pace.
Yeah.
I just wonder about the idea of that. If you're going to bowl in 4 overs, you bowl this 4 overs all the way through in one block rather than come back for 1 over.
Smith finishes off. Jordan hits this flat. There's a big gap at deep square leg. Not a good ball to that field from Odin Smith. Spoils somewhat his good work earlier. His over goes for 20. The game is still alive. England 28 needed off the last 2 overs. Smith is livid with himself. Can understand why. He's bowled well for his first 3 overs, but Billings was able to manufacture some angles, and the last ball was a gimme to Chris Jordan, who was always going to swing to the fences.
You see this from a lot of bowlers. They bowl well for 3. They bowl well for 3 earlier on in the innings, and then they're brought back for 1. And it just
saw it with Holder yesterday, didn't we?
Yeah, it just never seems to go that way. The way that we're expecting it to. It's like, I think there's a lot to be said for rhythm.
The problem is, bowling someone 4 on the trot, the batters can just line you up. Familiarity is a batter's friend, as it were. So it is a tricky balancing act. I think that Odin Smith probably had to bowl that over, unless Pollard was going to... In fact, Pollard bowled out now. Let's see who's got overs left. It's going to be Sheldon Cottrell bowling the 19th. Pollard's got 2 left. Holder's got overs left as well. Romario Shepherd might not be being used. Sam Billings is on strike. Sheldon Cottrell's going to bowl the 19th. I think West Indies have been looking for a death bowler all series. They've not found one. This is drilled by Billings, but straight to Mayers at cover. Will they come through for the single? Yes, they will. Billings thinks he can trust Jordan, and he's probably right. 27 needed off 11. What do you think of the call, Mash, Sheldon Cottrell?
It means that Romario must be bowling the last over. Romario's going to need a minimum of 18 runs to defend.
Big over from Sheldon Cottrell. It was very, very expensive when he bowled at the death in the IPL. Has, in theory, the skills. Has the short ball, as Kyle Mayers is being attended to by the West Indies physio.
I think it might have been a bit of an awkward tumble, I think, towards the ball.
Probably helps to slow the pace down. Everyone kind of collect themselves a bit.
Yeah, just take a breath.
This is where Kyron Pollard uses all of his experience. I'm not seeing him chatting to Sheldon Cottrell, who's a fairly experienced bowler himself, although less so in T20 cricket.
Some people like to be left alone, don't they, at this sort of time?
Chris Jordan eyeing up the leg side. I haven't seen the field yet, so unfortunately I can't tell you where that is. This game potentially bubbling up into a belter of a finish as Cottrell is in, goes full and wide outside off stump. Jordan can't lay bat on it. Dot ball, precious dot ball for the West Indies. 1 and a dot to start. 27 needed off 10. Billings comes down to have a chat to Jordan.
Not really. I mean, it's 138 kph. It is Yorker length. It's probably like fifth, sixth stunt line. There's not like, in terms of like not laying bat on ball. It's not the most unforgivable of things. That is some effort by Fabian Allen that we're looking on the replay. Nothing's uncatchable. It's brilliant.
A hittable delivery from Cottrell, but Jordan misses out on it, bottom edges it out to deep square. Like a good throw comes in, keeping them to a single. So it's been a good start from Sheldon Cottrell. 1.1. England need 26 off 9. Sam Billings is seeing it very nicely. He's picked up a couple over the leg side, managing to elude that incredible grab or dive from Fabian Allen, managing to whip balls from outside off stump over deep square leg. He's 37 off 22. Deep breath from Sheldon Cottrell. Continuing over the wicket. He's in. Billings goes outside off stump. LBW appeal. Billings' entire body was outside off stump, so I don't think it was ever going to be an LBW shout. Nicholas Pooran seems to forget about the ball as it's thrown towards him, I think by Sheldon Cottrell, running into the leg side with the entire leg side field back. They come through for 2 leg buys.
Are there DRS reviews?
There are. Karen Pollard's I think Karen Pollard is signalling don't take the review. There are 2 reviews per innings. I don't think we've seen one in this match yet.
I would certainly want to have a look at it. I mean, what's the harm, right?
Oh, they have reviewed it. I guess only to slow the game down, but it's definitely not out. It's outside off stump. It's outside off stump and going further across outside off stump. But this is a review just to take a little bit of the sting out of the game and make Billings think about this a little bit. He went for the wide of off stump Yorker from over the wicket. Didn't quite nail the Yorker, but Billings managed to get it low enough that Billings, who was trying to manufacture again from outside off stump to clip over square leg, wasn't able to lay bat on ball. So it's been a good over from Sheldon Cottrell. 1.1, 2 leg buys. Billings is on striking. They need 24 off 8. Whoever bowls the 20th, it looks at this stage as though they're going to have a lot to defend, but a couple of boundaries changes that. I've moved on mentally in my head because obviously the LBW shout was a very, very not out.
So technology has run its course.
24 needed off 8. This game swung hither and thither, as has this very entertaining series at Bridgetown, Barbados. Can Billings, after his round-the-world trip, be the hero for England? Cottrell in, penultimate ball of the over. It's a full toss. That's going to be a no ball. Billings wasn't able to get much bat on it, but is able to get 1, possibly 2. They do come back for 2, and that'll be 2 runs plus the no ball plus a free hit on such margins, perhaps.
You get a free hit if they bowl a no ball. Off a free hit, you mostly can't get out at all.
Self-preservation.
As Mashal, that's a long way to miss the Yorker by.
I'm just wondering if we're about to throw this one. Well, let's throw it away the right.
Well, let's see the free hit. Yeah.
Two balls left. This one a free hit. 21 needed off 8. Cottrell in. Billings swings wildly over the top of it. He smashes his bat into the turf to tell himself to calm down. Cottrell's got away with it. It's a dot ball. Still no boundaries off the over. 1.1. 2 leg buys. 2 runs plus the no ball. Dot. 21 needed off 7. That wasn't quite the Yorker. He didn't quite nail it, but Billings just swung too hard.
Is it 6 off the over?
2, 4, 6. Yeah.
with a no ball in it, that's actually, well, let's see what he does with this last ball.
Seven.
5 balls in, mate. 5 balls in.
7 of 5 legitimate deliveries. Last ball of the over is drilled by Sam Billings down the ground. It'll just be a single, will it? Yes, to Jason Holder. Selden Cottrell's kept the game in the West Indies' favour. 8 runs off the over, no boundaries despite the free hit. Billings is on strike. England need 20.
But by the way that Holder ran towards the centre, I think he might be bowling the last of your 20 overs. Let me have a look. I think we are up to date on everything. Yeah, we're completely up to date. The Twitter sphere and social media is
they're all gripped.
Weighted with bated breath.
So this is an interesting move. Knuckle, you and I had a bit of a back and forth about Holder at the death. So for clarity, I don't want Holder bowling at the death, but needs must, because we haven't got anybody. And I think in this situation, actually it has to be him because of his experience, regardless of whether it suits his skill set or not.
Gone with him over Romario Shepherd, who bowled 1 decent over earlier today but has had a poor series. You'd think more suited to the role in terms of what he does, but it is Jason Holder. He's been magnificent in the power play in this series. What can he do at the death? He's got 20 to defend.
He's Jason Holder, ready or not. He's gonna take a wicket if you like it or not, and then make runs because he's the top all-rounder. He's Jason Holder.
Show me the field. I'm not going to be showing the field. Short third is up. It does look like fine leg is up as well. It's a full toss outside off stump, which Billings doesn't time. No one's taking on Fabian Allen's arm. It's just a single. 19 needed off 5. Can Chris Jordan be the hero? It's been a fine effort from Sam Billings. 41 off 27. Is it going to be in vain? Was that slowdown too much to recover from? Was that blitz from Pollard and Rodman Powell too much to recover from? It's been a oh, it's a no ball. Jason Holder's bowled a no ball. It's going to be a free hit to Chris Jordan.
You get a free hit if they bowl a no ball. Off a free hit, you mostly can't get out at all.
Yeah, nothing grounded behind the line. The TV umpire spotted it. These don't go amiss in top level cricket these days. So it's a no ball plus a single. 18 needed off 6. Chris Jordan on strike.
I used to think that Billings would have to get back on strike for this.
Chris Jordan in the first couple of T20s smashed the ball all over the place. He's got Jason Holder bowling to him. He backs away outside off stump and too far, in fact. Holder slips in the wide Yorker. I think Jordan gave the game away a bit too early there, and it's a dot ball. Again, the free hit not taken advantage of.
Right, so England have had 2 free hits in the last 2 overs and taken 0 runs from them. If they don't win, I think they'll look there first.
Yeah, well, I don't know about first, but it's one of those little nuances, isn't it? Jordan backing away too far. At least have a swing at it, at least, surely. 18 needed off 5. Jordan stays still this time. It's a full toss. It's nailed over the leg side. No, not over the leg side. Straight down the throat of Hayden Walsh Jr., who's on as a subfielder for Kyle Mayers. Jordan got the ball he was looking for, a low full toss, but not able to nail it. He walks off livid with himself. The wicket of Chris Jordan, perhaps more importantly, the dot ball. England still need 18 off 4.
How's that? You missed the bat, I caught you out. How's that?
Safe hands. Safe hands. Adil Rashid is going to be your next batsman.
Certainly capable with the bat, but he can't afford to try and get Billings back onto strike. 18 off 4. They need a boundary.
Adil Rashid on the 45. 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 Adil can turn it both ways. Adil can turn it. Adil can turn it both ways. Adil can turn it. Adil can turn it both ways. Adil can turn it on the 45.
Now, There's only 4
in
balls
fact,
left.
they crossed while that ball was
that was going to be.
in the air.
If it was Rashid facing, it was like it's got to be. He's got to do it himself because he can't waste the ball just getting Billings back on strike.
It is going to be Sam Billings. Of course, they crossed while the ball was in the air. Hayden Walsh Jr., safe pair of hands. Holder in. Deep in the crease goes Sam Billings. He goes downtown. How much has he got of this? Not enough. Not enough. 2 catches in a row for Hayden Walsh. Jason Holder's on a hat-trick. But more importantly, 2 dot balls. Sam Billings is gone. Jason Holder doing it at the death. Not something he's not done for a while. It was a valiant effort from Sam Billings. He went deep in the crease, trying to launch down the ground, but he got under it too much, and Hayden Walsh trotted round to his left. West Indies think they have it. They probably have it. They surely have it. 18 needed off 3. The end of Sam Billings. England have run out of specialist batters and need 3 sixes to win the game.
Just underclubbed it by 1, didn't he? Plenty of height.
Smart Mashal from Pollard. Walsh on the field immediately and put in the power position at deep mid-wicket.
Yeah, I was going to say, listen, in Hayden Walsh Jr., Fabian Allen, and I'd even throw in Akil Hussain, we've got 3 of the best fielders in the world, so you bring them on.
One of those that off the bat you weren't quite sure whether it just had the width, the length. Was it going to just find the wind? Adil Rashid is on strike. Has to hit 3 sixes to win the game for England. That's come high off the top part of the bat. Is it going to be a hat-trick for Jason Holder? It is going to be a hat-trick for Jason Holder. Jason Holder on his home ground. He started the series magnificently in the power play, and he's closing it out with a hat-trick, a T20 international hat-trick. All caught in the deep. First Chris Jordan, then Sam Billings, then Adil Rashid. Jason Holder, the hometown hero, yet again against England, has taken a hat-trick. Adil Rashid is gone for a duck. West Indies surely have the series. The first West Indian to take a T20 international hat-trick. Take a bow, Jason Holder.
Was it the same man who took the third catch, or was it somebody different?
I think
because they're all in the same neck of the woods, aren't they? They're all in the arc of
Hayden Walsh, who took the first 2. I don't think it was Hayden Walsh who took the second.
That's old Dean Smith, the last one.
Yeah, bigger man than was more square leg than the deep long on of the last 2. There are some death hat tricks that are inconsequential. That was not one of them. England had a chance of winning the game going into the over. Reece Topley, inside edges, past the stumps. Oh, in fact, I think it might have been bowled. I think that's 4 in 4.
4 in 4 to end the series.
Jason Holder's... I think the leg bail is off. I think Jason Holder's done a Lasit Malinga. Unbelievable. 4 in 4 from Jason Holder, I think, to finish the series. 3 caught in the deep. 1 leg stump Yorker that takes the leg bail off. Lasit Malinga, Rashid Khan, Jason Holder join and make up an exclusive club of 4 in 4. Unbelievable end to the series. Certainly the bail has come off. Reece Topley has inside edge that. Past his... Has he passed his leg stump for 4, but it's taken Saqib Mahmood rather? He's looking back at the bail, Saqib Mahmood. I think they're actually trying to work out exactly what has happened here, or are we just...
Well, the bails are off.
But I'm not sure what hit the bail. Must have just been the ball. Nevertheless, the West Indies have won the series. They've held on in the face of an assault from Sam Billings and earlier from James Vince. They kept taking wickets when they needed to, and that last burst towards the end when they had been strangled by the England spinners from Kieran Pollard and Rodman Powell, who's been a hero in this series, sees the West Indies beat England at Bridgetown, Barbados. They have won the series 3-2, and after losing to Ireland, after being battered in Pakistan, this, Mashal, is quite the statement by the West Indies.
I think you can see in the celebrations what this means. It might... I mean, I'm one of the first to say that bilateral T20 series are inconsequential, but when you've had a World Cup that the West Indies have had, and you have the level of discord, and criticism and disunity going around the region, people wanting the captain out, the coach out, the president out, and then England turn up on the shores, who, whether the English see it or not, for West Indians, England are they're the local derby, if there's ever such a thing in international cricket. So it means a lot. And in fairness, this is T20s, but this sets it up nicely for the Test series in March, because that's going to mean a lot as well. So don't underestimate the significance of this for a West Indian team that's been in the doldrums vis-a-vis T20 cricket.
This wasn't a full-strength England side, but it was still a good England side. Moeen Ali, Liam Livingston, Jason Roy, Adil Rashid, who was magnificent throughout this series, a bevy of young fast bowlers, Sam Billings. This was still a team that would have come to Barbados with a thought that they could, perhaps even should win the series. Owen Morgan out of form. There'll be questions asked about whether his captaincy has a future after missing the last 3 games and doing little in the 2 games that he did play. But the West Indies found heroes at various times in the series. They found Rodman Powell, Akil Hussain brilliant today, Jason Holder up top, and then at the death I missed Curtis Camphor off the list, but nevertheless Rashid Khan, Lasith Malinga, Curtis Camphor, Jason Holder, 4 in 4 in T20 international cricket, the first West Indian man to take a T20 international hat-trick, and Kieran Pollard can be very, very proud of the job he and his men have done.
So I'm going to bring square everything away on the tweet side of things. Ewan Innes, been a great game this. Neymar Butlins, Holder, where's Willie when you need some comedy? Andy G, what's the point of Chris Jordan exactly? A great player mythologised beyond his talent. Went for a ball that he needed to go to try and win the game. Jez Klein, needs a law change when the third umpire is calling front foot no balls. Batting side should be able to decide who faces free hit. That'll be an interesting one to talk about in the days and weeks and months to come. Mog, now that's the sort of guy I like to see rewarded with a hat-trick. Ed Arbery, I make that 3 free hits without a run between them. These are the margins in which matches like these are decided. Mog, correction, double hat-trick. 4 in 4 is probably better than double hat-trick, because that would be 6 and 6. And Pirate Badshaw, uncharacteristically the knowledge of Nakul Pandey. Curtis Camphor did a 4-4 in the T20 World Cup. Corrected by your good self. That is the Twitter sphere up to date.
Jason Holder ends with 5 for 27. I think he's beaten his T20 best yet again in this series. Yet again. Jason Holder, Marshall, makes a habit of turning up against England at Bridgetown.
I mean, we spoke about the death over, and I said Holder's the experienced guy. You've got to go to him regardless of whether it's his role. Ultimately, I mean, I don't know if you take a 4 in 4 any day of the week. But England were kind of in a hole there. They had to go for 6s. So Holder did his job, and let's not forget he bowled a no ball first things up, and then responded with a 4 in 4. And like I say, the pictures on the screen, obviously those listening can't see them, but if you are in any doubt what this means, West Indies are doing a victory lap with West Indian flags. I think that tells you about what's going on in the region.
All of a sudden, given that the series has been, we've seen the crowd shots and they've been mostly English, suddenly there's a bunch of West Indian local fans at the front of the stands. Suddenly they're all we can see. There are West Indian flags. The entire squad is out there on the field with them. Only James Vince and Sam Billings were able to score with any kind of fluency, and Sam Billings was already fighting a losing battle by the time he came in. It was a lovely innings by Vince before Akil Hussain did for him. It was Akil Hussain in the middle with his 4 for 30, and then Jason Holder, who'd been expensive. He'd been taken around the park by James Vince, in fact, earlier on, but he came back brilliantly when the game was very much alive. England had a chance going into that last over, but forget the 4 in 4, bowling 4 dot balls, or in fact 5 dot balls, including the free hit. He and Sheldon Cottrell started the series with a bang, and they've held their nerve to finish it. Odin Smith bowled really well up until his last over. Kieran Pollard again economical, 2 overs and under 15. Romario Shepherd got away without much damage in his 1 over, a series where he's done more with the bat than the ball. Fabian Allen bowled 3 very tight overs in the middle, partnering Akil Hussain. And a very, very entertaining series ends with the West Indies winning it 3-2.
If the tests are like that, bring on the tests.
100%. 100%. I think if we think about what that test series is going to be in just over a month, you've got an England team in their own existential crisis in test cricket, a West Indies team also trying to find themselves. What a test series that's going to be.
Mash, I'm assuming your Caribbean cricket podcast is going to talk in detail about who may be part of the team, who's on the fringes that we need to be aware of.
What, for the test series?
Yeah,
most definitely, yeah.
Because some of these guys have really surprised me in this T20. So any information that I can get in order to be better prepared for the test is always going to be welcome. So the listeners as well as me can look forward to sounding like experts on day one of test one.
Well, definitely, and of course I'll be joining Gorilla for that test series as well once I give some dates over to Knackle and Co. And I think one thing I'll just leave you with is that Desmond Haynes in his first press conference, obviously he's now the lead selector of West Indies, said that he wants to end what did he call it? He said he wants to end the mindset of saying that certain players are only white ball players or red ball players. And with that, he announced that Kumar Roach was returning to the ODI side to tour India. So don't be surprised if you see some names you possibly weren't expecting.
You should remember that West Indies have another assignment before that test series starts on the 8th of March. They go to India very shortly for a one-day international and T20 series. It's the same T20 squad that is going to the West Indies. A few changes in a few names like Kumar Roach in the one-day international squad. We will try and talk about that, and we might see if we can get Mashal to write something, or certainly we'll shout out some stuff that the Caribbean Cricket Podcast guys are doing, Mashal and Santoki. But I think we should wrap up with some final social media messages before we say goodbye to this series at last.
We are essentially. Let me just do one last check. Yeah, you are completely up to date. You are free to end your weekend.
Thank you very much to everybody who's been with us during this series. It's been a lot of fun, and we will be back with you here on Gorilla Cricket on the 8th of March for the first test from North Sound Antigua. But until then, our guns fall temporarily silent, but we'll have a lot of written content for you. We might have some podcast content for you as well. Please do check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Gorilla Cricket, where there's all sorts of content that you can watch. Interviews with various people around the good ship Gorilla that help keep the show and make the show what it is, and patreon.com/Gorilla Cricket. Those regular donations keep us on air for this and all sorts of other series, every England men's international, major tournaments, international tournaments, IPLs, and so much more besides. But until the 8th of March, we say goodbye to you from Gorilla Cricket, and be thoroughly lovely to each other.
Bye-bye.
Guerrilla Cricket.